Oops. Whoops. Hold on here. Okay, Tyler, I'm going to send you an invite now. Let's see if that works out first try. Woo!
Yo! What's up?
What up? Nothing. Just trying to fix this little thing. I got the phone propped up. Okay, I think I got it. All right.
Oh, I got this fancy little setup for like a ring light and everything.
Who, me? Oh, me too. Usually I use the ring light, but it reflects off my glasses.
I
So
know.
I got a lamp here. I just kind of shine it on myself. It works. Who's oh my fucking god, Z Sarah?
Oh my fucking god, it's Sarah. That's one of my good friends from Ohio, the worst place in the world. She's one of the first MySpace fans. Actually, that's one of the funniest facts about Sarah.
She was in a band?
No, she liked us back in the MySpace days. We came up and visited her like years ago. The whole band did.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And then that's how you found Ohio was garbage.
The chat. That's more wild to me.
What, that's using the chat? Hey, she still likes the band.
Yeah.
That's funny. I was going to wait till a couple more people maybe stroll on in here.
Cool. I saw a couple names I know.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. What was I going to say? Look at this guy already firing off the real questions here.
They're coming. Can you expect new short bus? I would not expect anything when it comes to short bus. We can't get anything like solid done at all, just because like as a whole the band has done several different things like outside of music. So like two of us have kids, like two of the band members live in Richmond, an hour south of us. So like it's hard to get practice in even, but we're constantly talking about, and we have stuff, so we're talking about it. We can't guarantee anything though. It would be nice to put something.
So it's being talked about.
Well, Sarah, if you're leaving, by the way, it was nice seeing you as well for the short period of time.
So you're saying there is new material made?
Yes, we had plans to release more material, because from 2010 on until the band broke up, we were still writing. So we have music. It's just, the combination of losing band members and switching them around and having to do lineup changes, plus, like everybody starting their lives. Like you hit 30 years old and it's harder to kind of maneuver the whole band thing, but you try your best.
Being at 30 something, it's just hard to maneuver.
Right, just maneuver it all. The back doesn't allow it.
Oh, dude, when I'm really noticing now at shows, like the third band, like when I went to go see Next Tuesday, like 2 weeks ago, by the end of that show, and I don't mosh or nothing, but at the end of that show, I'm just like,
being there.
My hip was killing me. Like I walked out with a limp, and I was like, "What did I do wrong?" Like
Nothing.
I just
literally stood wrong.
I just
wrong shoe.
Yeah, it was insane. I'm like, man, I'm not 24 anymore, man.
What's up, Andy?
It's wild.
Andy's a cool dude. He's he and I keep in touch through Discord. He found me through my Discord through video games. He's a big Short Bus fan. Cool guy.
Oh, that's cool. That's exciting. Yeah, well, we got some people here, so I figured maybe who's it? Mick with a blick or Mike with a bike? I don't know. That's a fun name.
Mickey with a blicky.
Mickey with the blicky. Yeah. All right. Well, I might as well start. I'm sure people will come on in and stuff.
Works for me.
What's that?
Works for me. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah. All right. So I guess first things first. Who are you? What'd you play in? What'd you do?
I am Tyler Sharps, aka Malleus, aka Young Spookers. I did the vocals on Short Bus Pile-Up's first release, along with the earlier releases. But the full-length album, I guess, is the most known. I also did most of the guitar work for the albums along with Elliot. We double-tracked those. And I did a good bit of writing for most of the band work. Me and the drummer did a lot of, soloing back and forth to kind of like vibe off each other. Elliot would give ideas, and the other members, they just weaved in and out. But the three of us, we kind of like were the core three. So as time went on, with the said new material that we were working on, I was on guitar. I was not on the vocals. That being said, if new material were to come, I probably wouldn't be main vocals, but I would be doing vocals on the album.
That's interesting. What makes you not want to do?
It's not necessarily that I don't want to do vocals. I just feel like it's easier for me to be guitar, like lead guitar. And if we were to ever do anything live, I would not be able to do vocals and guitar at the same time. I've never been good at that. Also, during the process, we had Bill on guitar or on vocals, and he was writing lyrics. He was doing very similar gutturals to my own. The whole reason we decided to do this was because we knew Bill from other bands in Richmond that we had played with before, and he seemed very interested whenever we lost our bassist. So it was just one of those scenarios where we were like, well, his vocals sound a lot like mine, if not better. Let's throw them in the mix and see how it goes. And he just clicked really well with the three of us. So that's four of us were a really, really good dynamic for a while. And with the new material, I mean, if we ever get it out, that would be nice. But you'll hear that, obviously.
Yeah. So new art or new music potentially, and you might be
potentially.
Yeah.
I can't promise anything because it's been potentially for almost 10 other years. It's 2023 and we released an album in 2010. So like to say that we're gonna do something is hard, but it's still there.
That's so funny. No, I mean I get it. There's a lot of bands I've talked to are either sitting on stuff that they wrote a long time ago and then they fills it out so they have stuff they're sitting on, or they want to have a reunion of sorts, but it's hard to line up everyone's schedules, right? So I do want to read this dude's question here.
A couple questions roll through.
So Fabrizio over here, I'm not sure if that has been asked, but how did you come up with the name Short Bus Pile-Up, and what were runner-ups?
Plenty.
What were runner-ups? I always love hearing the thought process of band names. Yeah, that was one of my little questions too. So, and then someone wants to hear you breathe. So,
well, I am out of practice and getting over the flu, so I'll give you a quick ooh, but I've never breathed in my life. So okay, as far as the band name is concerned, I'm a bit ashamed of it, to be quite honest with you, because as you get older you kind of evolve mentally and like you start to feel a bit differently about the way you did whenever you were in your early 20s and stuff. So the idea behind this was, one day me and my cousin, we were gonna start a band. It was gonna be a joke. We weren't taking it seriously, and we were just riffing off each other, and he was giving me dumb stuff and I was giving him dumb stuff. At one point we went with Laser with a Z, and like that was originally what Short Bus was going to be called. But then like one day I was trying to write up like a mock logo or whatever, and I was like putting different words together, and he was like, just give me something funny but tragic. And I was like, Short Bus starts and ends with S, and Pile Up starts with P and ends with P. That's pretty symmetrical, would look good on a logo. It's also pretty fucked up. And he was like, what do you mean? What does that even mean? And I was like, well, I mean, think of what it would happen if like a bunch of short buses got in an accident, it'd be pretty fucked up. It was like, okay, you got it. Okay, I think that's it. And so we just went with that, honestly, as our joke band. That was, and then as the band progressed, we just kept it because of the following, the name. We wanted to change it so many times, and like we were just like, no, we can't change it. It's like,
what would, like, if you guys got a chance to change it back then, what did you guys have already?
We didn't even roll many ideas around.
Okay.
For a while. Like I was, my video game name was Flesh Vomit, and I was like, we could go with that, but I don't know, it's not very creative.
It sounds too like black metal and
exactly. Like there's so much thought that goes into a band name, and whenever you already have one, it's kind of stupid to change to another one. Especially when you've got an album out. Like, there's no reason to change.
No, I definitely agree. You guys are getting some traction probably, and then, you know. I mean, for the time, it's a fitting name because a lot of bands had some insane names. But, you know, as you get older, obviously it gets a little cringy, right?
Yeah.
So,
So
I definitely...
It's like, I never have any ill will towards like handicapped people or anything like that. People always think that like immediately, they're like, what is wrong with you? And I'm just like, dude, my sister works with handicapped people. Like, I'm not proud of the name. Like, I don't have ill will towards anything. It's literally a joke. And but I mean, and hopefully it's taken that way, but at the same time, like in the back of my mind, I'm like ashamed.
Well, thank God you started it back then and not now, because you probably would have been canceled first.
Definitely not now. My parents would not let me in the house.
Right. Yeah. Actually, question: What did your parents think on the name? Were they like,
you know what?
Time for therapy, Tyler.
My dad's a musician, and that's where I got into music. He, like early on, like age 7, he was showing me bands like White Zombie and like Korn and like all these like alternative bands that most people weren't listening to, especially where we lived. I grew up in the country, so everybody's listening to awful, like not even good country, just all bad country.
Yeah.
And so he's from Fairfax, Virginia, which is a little south of DC, and he knew all the DC hardcore guys. He like he ran a record store in Georgetown, where they were the first ones to import CDs. So he got to meet all the like big names who would come in and buy their music. So he was pretty cool. He's pretty like well known within music, and so his record collection is massive. And he got me into music. So his idea of music was, you know, have fun and enjoy yourself. So he was totally on board with whatever I was doing. My mother, on the other hand, you know, very Christian woman. She, you know, she's proud of me, to say the least. But, she's very supportive, but there are many times where she's just like, I just wish you'd name things differently. I wish some of the songs, they're like, it's not good. They're not good. And I'm like, trust me, I'm fully aware. It's a joke. It's a joke. I mean,
you think the names are bad? Read the lyrics.
I mean, well, and that's part of the problem. It's like, I don't want to think of that when I look at you.
Too late.
Sorry, man.
I don't want to think of that. Yeah, there's I was actually going through the lyrics again today just to like kind of brush up, and I was yeah, for sure.
My favorite lyrics were the more like medical ones. Like I thought, like when we were writing for the earlier material, it was me and Elliot for the most part, just like getting really stoned and like writing whatever the hell came to mind. But then as like time progressed and we started writing for the album, I was like, I kind of want to be a little more serious with the songs. So like less fecal matters and more urethral meiosis. So like we went from like the oh, I'm eating turds to I have worms in my dick hole, and here's all the words for that in the medical dictionary. Like that's pretty much what happened. I stole the medical dictionary from Elliot's mom, and I was
gonna say there's a lot of words that are very medical, and I was like, are you guys just like smart on the side, or are you guys just ripping through like old medical books?
Research, like I love to research things. So like I had like thesauruses and medical dictionaries and all those stuff. Like, oh, let's make it a little bit more serious, even though we can't change the name.
I mean, yeah, I got serious, I guess, to a point, but yeah, I was reading Jesus, the second album you guys put out, the one we did there, the
Oh yeah.
Prolapse or
Yeah.
whatever there, the
That one, that one didn't have any lyrics, surprisingly. There were lyrics for the promo. But
that's what it was.
Putrid Pelvic Prolapse, Logan was like the laziest piece of shit and would not write anything. So he would just come to practice and gurgle. And like, we were cool with that at the time because it was still kind of a joke. Right. But like, it came to a point where we were in the studio and we're like, dude, are you ever going to write lyrics? You're up. Like, you need to do something. He was like, no, I'm just going to wing it. And so like, he literally wrote the album on the spot, like just gurgles. There's no real words. And then he memorized what he did on the album for the live stuff. Like, that's how dumb stuff was early.
More talented than writing lyrics and memorizing them. You know what I mean?
He got the idea from there's a band name called Sick Fuck, and SIKFUK. And it was originally two guys and went to one guy, and he doesn't have any lyrics either. He would write vocal parts. Yeah. And he did that, and he got the idea from him. So
I mean, like,
originally, I asked Logan to be in the band because he just randomly came into my room one day and was like, dude, I just found out how to do the Circle of Dead Children gurgle. I was like, you can what? Do you want to do vocals? And he was like, yeah, sure. And that was the extent of it. I wasn't like expecting much of him. I just was surprised he could do what he could do.
And did he get the Circle of Dead gurgles or no?
He did. He was pretty good at all of it. Like everything Circle of Dead Children does, he was able to manipulate his voice.
That's pretty wild because I forget his name, but he's got some pretty good vocals. Pretty good stuff. So did you do vocals with Logan?
Originally, I just did backing vocals. Like I had a mic stage and I would do like this stupid like screaming. I think there's one song on Putrid Pelvic Prolapse where Elliot couldn't remember the guitar chords, so instead of putting vocals there, I just yelled into the mic the frets he was supposed to be playing. So I think it's open 1-4-3 is what I'm screaming. So like there's parts where they make absolutely no sense at all. I literally just yell open 1-4-3 4 times because that's what I'm playing and he's supposed to play next.
That's a fun little tidbit, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. There's a little stuff.
So you did mention Laser.
Yes.
So that was like a very early, version of Short Bus. Mm-hmm. And then, I guess that was what? That was a little more on the deathcore side, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, at that time, I think like we came with Broken Teeth and preschool Tea Party Massacre. Yeah. Like blowing up, and we love that type of stuff. Like it was like
the drum machine.
I had been making hip hop beats for like a couple of years on Fruity Loops, and I was like, dude, this seems really fun to make. Like, do you want to try some of this? And he was like, dude, I suck at instruments, but I can totally help with like ideas and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. And so Laser was our first attempt, and I think we had 8 songs written for Laser, and we handed out little crappy CDs that like I think it was maybe like 10 of them to like our close friends of like the 5 to 8 songs that we had written. And one of the band's vocalists was like, we're starting up a production company. We're going to put on some shows. Do you want to open for one just to see if you could do it live? And we're like, sure, let's try that. So we did the Laser show. It was fucking terrible. Like the sound was terrible. The way that we hooked it up, there's a bunch of feedback. We were like, all right, well, we can't do that. So we put Laser on the back burner, and I think a couple of those songs made it into the progression, which became Short Bus.
Okay.
Which the pre-Short Bus band Short Bus. It was just still me and him being goofy on the internet.
And that was you guys did a couple like releases that were pretty deathcore, right? Like you guys it's cringy, but it's like you took all like the good parts of it and like repeated it and like did it, and it's cool to listen to, but it's definitely, you can tell you guys are just fucking around.
Right. For the time, it fit the mold of like the MySpace cyber grind. Which is all we were trying to do. Like I think I told you this once before in messages. I took like 5 minutes max on every one of those songs. Like I was not trying at all. It was like the post production of like putting in the sounds and stuff, and like the clips from movies and other stuff. That took more time, and like writing like actual words and stuff. But the writing of the music, it took no time at all. And I think that adds to the joy that comes from that. Is like it's so elementary, but still kind of funny and fun. And,
Yeah.
you know. Which is why I still enjoy listening to it. It is kind of hard to listen to myself do those vocals because I mean, learned how to do vocals at that time. I was just like, I think I had a karaoke mic at that time plugged into the line output of my computer. So it was terrible recordings. Terrible.
But that's the charm of the 2000s scene back then. It was kind of shitty record. You know what I mean? Like very amateur, rigged stuff. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the charm. That's what people like to mimic now, like in 2023. That we want that MySpace era deathcore sound, the rock, the underproduced almost, if you will. But yeah, that's cool. So you guys did a few stuff like deathcore stuff. I remember you showing me those, like sending me the songs, and they're like, it's not groundbreaking, but they're fun to listen to. I mean, I can't criticize it because I'm not playing. You probably pick up things and go, ugh, like, you know what I mean? But like it's fun if you want some breakdowns and some this and this. Like it's a fun little.
I think at that time, I was coasting through new styles like every week. It was like I would. MySpace was perfect for finding new music.
Oh yeah.
Real quick, what's your favorite SBPU lyric? I just saw that question. Probably. I'm not gonna remember it right off the top of my head, but it's from Fecal Matters. It's the part where I'm like spewing for way too fast, way too long. And it's the last line. Covered in a pile of lumpy dumping. I think that's my favorite. But anyway, back to the original question. As far as like the finding music on MySpace, it was super easy. Like it was so easy, you just go to someone's page and it'd be like new music would be playing on their page. And so like I heard something I liked, I would look it up, I would find more of it, and it's just like I was constantly finding new stuff. So as the progression grew of like, all right, well, MySpace grind is here, and I'm starting to find like more slammy stuff, and like I've been shot and Pencil and Syringe and like bands that communicated with like early impending doom, like all of that got into like real deathcore, and then like real deathcore turned to slam. Like it was like all in a very quick progression. So I was practicing doing different things on all of those songs just to see if I could do them. And so you'll hear all of that in the early Short Bus stuff that I don't even consider to be the band, but it was more or less a trial and error for every song.
So were you guys always into slam and then kind of just morphed that way, or were you like, this is getting more traction than I thought, let's take it seriously and do something we actually maybe enjoy?
One thing that I really loved about the band was, like I said, the core members, me, Elliot, and David, or Sydney, as most people know him by. The three of us, I knew David, Sydney from early bands. Like our very first bands that we were in the scene used to play shows together, and they were terrible bands. Both of our bands sucked. I mean, we both still like both of those bands. For different reasons, a nostalgic reason, but at the time it was bad. And but I knew he was a great musician and vice versa. So when we were like years later, we crossed paths. It was crazy because he came into my work. I had just gotten close to Elliot, who was the guitarist, the other member that I was speaking of. I had just found out that like he and I had so much in common. We were like hanging out a little bit more, and the two of us were sitting behind the counter at Spencer's Gifts where we worked. And David walks in and he's like, "Dude, what's up?" And he gives me a high five. He says, "Beatnik Beatdowns," which is one of the early Short Bus songs. And then I was like, "Dude, me and Elliot were talking about bands, and and how he's in one, and I used to be in one, and I introduced the two of them, and David was like, "Hey, are you ever gonna make Short Bus a real thing?" Like, I thought about it, but I can't really find the members. And he was like, "I'll do drums. I don't care." And then Elliot turns to me, he goes, "I play guitar." I was like, "Well, fuck it, let's try. I mean, I'll play guitar too and like write music." And then a week later, Logan walked into my room and told me he can do Circle of Dead Children. I was like, "This is happening too quickly."
Right?
But
Yeah.
like, that core group in the beginning, we were all listening to the same stuff. It was like we were all tight knit, kind of like musically. So we all liked heavier deathcore. We really liked like. All three of us loved real death metal, like early Cannibal Corpse, Dying Fetus, Obituary, stuff like that. So like that was our original goal, to have that sound, but at the same time we were like, well, that's kind of, we're not good enough to do that first, and then secondly, like we don't really have the traction to get that good. But we can try something similar to what we like. And so, we started with like deathcore sounds, and you'll hear that with Future Pelvic Prolapse is a little bit more deathcore with some of the songs.
Yeah.
But we were really getting into slam at the time. Like bands like Devourment and Cephalotripsy, those were like starting to get real popular amongst like our group of friends. And so
right.
Trinity, that was another one. Like we were just always listening to this stuff, and we were like, fuck it, let's do this. So we focused more on slams, and I delved very hard into slam as far as listening is concerned. That's just it was originally death metal, and it turned into a hodgepodge of everything. We also love gore grind, so you'll hear like gore grind polka beats and stuff. Like
some torso.
We love hardcore, like all of the music that we like the most, we've integrated into our music.
Yeah.
Just kind of peppered, and you'll hear like I've heard reviews, or I've read reviews of the album where they're just like, this sounds like a bunch of parts put together. I mean, technically that's kind of what it was. Like we were just throwing our favorite styles together.
It's like a Frankenstein of music,
And I will say we learned to cohesively do that a little bit later with like songs like Repulsive Display of Human Upholstery and Necrotic Skin Stitching. Those songs were a little bit more cohesive in comparison to the other ones. And then all of the stuff that we wrote after that, I felt melded very well. Right. But like, I totally get where people were coming from when they're just like, it's just part after part after part. There's even like drum hits where it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, yeah, we know it wasn't planned. Like we just didn't know how to connect the parts. It was hardcore mixed with death metal,
That's so funny. Yeah, I bet. Well, I'm sure you guys got. Did you guys get a lot of? You guys were getting at the point when you guys were getting traction, were you also getting like hate as well?
Tons. Oh my God! I got threatened by Waking the Cadaver, the whole band. They threatened to kill me if I ever came to New Jersey.
But for what? Like, what was their reason?
Because back in the early days of slam, there was a Devourment forum. The Devo forum was like a big thing. Like everybody who loved slam was posting on the forum, and there was a feedback section. And Waking the Cadaver's new album, Beyond Cops, Beyond God, had just come out, and they like posted a big thing about it, and everyone was like saying how they liked it, and I was honest in my opinion. I said, I think it is a great follow-up to your previous release. I just don't know how I feel about the lyrics. The title of the album is a little weird. I don't get it. And like, that's all it took for them to get butthurt fuck and make a YouTube video saying they were going to beat my ass, and called me the F word like 100 times in the video. Later, it got like a lot of shade on the forum. Like a lot of people were like, dude, that's ridiculous. Why are you guys doing that? Like all he said was how he felt, and he actually gave you praises. And I was like, dude, I wasn't asking to get my ass beat. I was just telling you what I thought of the album. I love your guys' music. And so Mikey Mayo, who had just joined the band at the time, actually called me to apologize, because he was like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, it's just the way we are up here. Like, everybody's an asshole, and we get fucking mad at other things that don't make sense. And we're sorry. Like, it was mostly Dennis's fault. And I was like, dude, I don't give a shit. Like, I really don't care whose fault it was, who said what. I wish I just want the video down and to like not beat my ass if I'm from the Jersey. So it
That's
was
insane.
You know, there was plenty of hate. Trust me, there were a lot of people. We got in arguments over the term "wigger slam" because I hate that term. Absolutely hate it. And people were calling us that all the time. And I was like, dude, that's a slur. I don't care. Like, I don't care what terminology you're using it as. If it's a music genre that you made up, don't put me in that combination of words. I don't agree with it. And like, people were like, oh yeah, we're definitely that. And I'm like, I don't want any part of that. So we got
forgot about that term.
It was like a zine or something, like an online zine that, like, I think Sergeant D, if he's still around, he was the one that told us we were that style of music. We were like, nah, bro, don't ever call us that again.
That's insane. Did you get a lot of like true death metal guys that thought you guys were like a poser band?
At the time, slam wasn't like, it wasn't called slam. Like, when we were writing music, we were writing brutal death metal is what we all considered.
Yeah.
And so as time progressed, you know, Devourment didn't want to say they were slam either, but they were kind of the pioneers of that style, because Texas death metal was very heavy on that like chromatic chug. Then New York death metal, Florida death metal, they all had that style of like, you know, different versions of it, but they had that really cool, groovy, slammy stuff. And bands didn't want to call themselves slam because they felt it was gimmicky at the time.
Okay.
Like a terrible genre name. You know, we're still playing death metal, still death metal. We liked the idea of being brutal death metal, but as time progressed, people stopped calling tech death metal that, and then started calling that brutal death metal. And they're like, no, the rest is slam. Everything else is slam. And so we're like, all right, I guess we're slam then.
Guess we're slam.
And so Dave was the first one to say we were slam. He was like, I'm fine with the word. I don't care, man. And he wanted to make a shirt that said "Slam will dominate the world." And after a while, we were like, you know what, David? Make a run of like 30 of them and sell them on your own. I don't care, bro. Put them at the merch booth. If you want to keep all that money, that was your idea. Go. So he actually sold all of them.
I was gonna say, yeah, I bet he sold them all.
He did.
That's amazing. That's I mean, you might as well just go with it, right? If that's
yeah, I mean, as styles evolve, you have no say, really. It's whatever everybody wants you to be. You can call yourself whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you fit a mold, and someone's going to put you somewhere. So, I mean, if I end up on Slam Worldwide, then I know why. I either made deathcore or slam. I mean,
right.
It's just the way it goes.
That's the way it is. Fabrizio here has a question. Did you expect Short Bus to get as big as it was as a joke band? I wonder how you all reacted.
Originally, our only goal was to get big. Like, that was the big joke of all, is we just wanted to see, because we saw how big We Came with Broken Teeth and Preschool Tea Party Massacre were getting on MySpace. They were getting like 30,000 followers and friends is what they were getting. And so we were like, dude, this seems super easy. And so we were going to the same community college at the time, and between our classes, we would go to the computer room, and we would just sit there for hours sending friend requests to everyone on all the band friends list. And if they accepted our friend request, we would go back to their page and we would post our banner, like our animated GIF banner. And hope people would click that and come to our page and find us more. And it worked so well that we blew up in a very short period of time. And that's part of the reason why David asked me if I was ever going to make it a band, because it already had a following. And I had, wanted to at some point. And I started making music that was a little bit less jokey and more serious at that time whenever it started blowing up. And so, but I was still doing it by myself at the time. So that ended up, you know, it was like we blew up in a different way before we even blew up, and then like we carried those fans into the new beginning, and then as we got a different style going.
Yeah.
You know, lost some, but we gained more. We played live a lot. Like that was our big thing. It was like we got to play for people to find us because our live show was good as shit. Like, and we've heard that multiple times. It's like the album's great, it sounds great, but when you guys play live, that shit is fucking good. And so, I always wanted to push playing live wherever we were offered, and so we played a lot. And that's inevitably what got us signed to Severed Records. Was, you know, we did a mini tour with Gut It Out from Michigan, and that was up to New England Death Fest where we would end it. And New England Death Fest, Barrett, the label owner, was there, and he got our promo, and he was like, "This looks fucking good." And he was like, "I can't wait to see what you guys sound like." And because he had never heard us before. And so we played, and after the second song, he grabbed me by the shoulder and he was like, "You're on the label. We got you." Like,
that's amazing.
Oh, so it made me feel really good. No one else in the band heard that. So the rest of the show, I was kind of nervous, but like I was like, yes. And we sold out of the promo at that show. And so at that point, like it just kind of started blowing up right then and there. Like when we started doing the promo stuff.
So did you guys kind of get traction as the deathcore band on MySpace and doing all the friend requests and stuff? And you're kind of saying when you went into more the slammy stuff, or how you consider the actual start of the band, a lot of fans carried over and you got new ones. Okay.
Yeah, it was nice seeing that people were willing to change with us. Because, I mean, MySpace also kind of started dying around that time. And so we needed our transition phase of like, okay, well, we're making new music. We're also kind of switching over to Facebook. Because MySpace is losing traction big time. And so we ended up having a lot of people follow us to the new platform, even though Facebook really wasn't great for music. But like everybody that mattered kept in touch, you know. And we made new friends on like the Devourment forum, and you know, new connections and things. And honestly, playing live was another way to connect with people. You know, we met a lot of like band members who used to put on shows, and so that's how we really communicated was you know, like through, and we got people's phone numbers. It wasn't like we were just like online all the time. We were literally, hey, you got a show anywhere near, book us. And that was how we kind of like, it was
that was the old school way to do it.
Exactly. It became that way because the internet, you know, after MySpace died, it wasn't a great way to, you know, spread your music for a while, you know.
It was, there was kind of like a standstill, because I feel like MySpace was a great place to network. Like I was never in a band, but I mean, just, you know, I was very into MySpace. That's how I found tons of bands. And even talking to bands that I work with now, they're just like, oh yeah, like MySpace, if it wasn't for MySpace, you know, they say, a lot of these guys say that I don't think their band would have done anything. You know what I mean? Like half the action they got, right? But networking was a huge thing, because they would just find so many different bands and you know, promoters and stuff. And yeah, like you said, it's just cell phone numbers, right? And you go, you know, I'm putting a show on next month. We want you guys to come down. Like that's literally how it was.
I would talk to my fans on the phone. Like they would be like, "Yo, hey, can I call you?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure. Whatever. Let's do this." And that was after like AIM was dying, so no one used instant messenger anymore. And I was like, "Fuck it, call my cell phone. I don't give a shit. We'll talk for a bit." And so like, that's actually how I met Sarah. She was just like, after a while, you know, she was like, "I'm tired of typing back and forth messages. Can I just call you?" I was like, "Sure." And so like, after a couple of months, the whole band went up to Ohio to visit, and we all just hung out. It was a cool time.
So you didn't even have a show book. You just hung out.
No. I mean, that was the thing. Like in our early 20s, we really just did whatever the hell we wanted. Like we all had very flexible schedules. Like I said, me and Elliot worked at Spencer's Gifts. Like it was not like we were doing anything serious. The band was what we cared about for that moment, you know, like I wasn't talking to girls. Like I had a girlfriend here and there, but like for the most part, I was grinding for music.
Right.
And like I was in other bands. I was making solo music at the same time I was doing Short Bus. So like everything that I did revolved around pushing my music, because at a point I wanted that to be my career. And you know, as I started to realize that it wasn't feasible, you know, like it became a very serious hobby. But you know, yeah, like I always wanted a job where it was flexible so I could work around, you know, I booked this show or whatever. So, you know, a lot of what we did was, I mean, me and Elliot hung out every single fucking day for years. And it was like, if we weren't hanging out drinking, we were making music. And so it was a good time. We just did whatever we needed to for the band.
That's cool though. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm gonna go back to Gut It Out. Is that with Jeremy Ball from Rogers Mediterranean?
Yes, and Nick.
Yeah.
Nick was the vocalist, I believe.
For Rogers, yeah, right.
Yeah, and the two of them went to Gutted with Dre and Steve, I think was his name. He disappeared. He after the tour, I think he got like really religious and then decided he wasn't going to do metal anymore or play guitar or anything. I don't think anybody's heard from him for a while, but I know Dre and Nick are currently working on a new band.
Oh, cool.
And, I still talk to all three of them. Still good friends with them. They're my brothers, man. That tour was so fun. Like within the first 3 shows, we had so much shit go on. Like there was no way we weren't related at that point. Like the first show we played, we were told we were going to have somewhere to stay. And the guy that told us we had somewhere to stay was planning on having us stay at his house, but instead he couldn't. So he let us stay at his work, which was an auto body shop. And we slept on the floor of his garage. We were not prepared to sleep on any floors. I had a fucking blanket and a pillow, and that was it. Like everybody was the most uncomfortable they've ever been in their life.
Yeah.
Because David was the biggest, bulkiest dude and he had to drive, we let him sleep in the office with the heat. Like that was literally, he got the nicer suite of the garage. So after that morning, everyone was pissed off. We were in the worst mood. Uncomfortable, no sleep, pain, like hungry as shit, like nowhere to go. We were like, we got hours before the next show and we don't know where the fuck we are. We're in a garage. So we were like, you know what, let's go get food at this shitty diner down the street. So we all go to the diner and we get there and the service is fucking terrible. Like 3 of us ordered a chocolate milk. It never fucking came. And so we were like, you know, let's just fucking leave. And so we didn't even wait for the food. We just left. And in the parking lot, Dre and Jeremy got in a fist fight over a shotgun. I'm not even joking with you. They were fighting, like they were punching each other in the face over a shotgun. It was the craziest shit ever. I have it on film. It's just a very old video, so I'd have to find it, but it is so fucking funny.
Love for that to get posted on the internet.
I'll try and find it. I think it's on my Facebook somewhere.
I want to see the Waking the Cadaver video too.
You'll never find that. I'm pretty sure that's been deleted a long time ago. But yeah, after that show, like there's just like catchphrases from that tour with them. Like we played one show and there was this band that opened for us that had like leather jackets and long hair and like no shirts underneath and like really tight pants. Yeah. And they came walking out and they were like 40 something and we were in our 20s at the time. So they came walking out like past us and they're like, hey, what's up? And they're like, what? And Jeremy slaps me in the chest and goes, dude, good news, we're playing with Aerosmith. They also taught us a game. They taught us this game. I don't fucking know if it has a name. I think they just called it The Game. But they just like, they would randomly be like, they would be like this and they'd be like, hey, Jeremy, look. And so if anybody looked at you while you were doing this, you had to fucking get on your back and touch your knees to your elbows, wherever the fuck you were standing. So, like, they would do that to each other while crossing the street or like in an elevator,
Right.
like holding a bunch of gear, like, and so we just started doing that. It was hilarious. I forgot about the game. I got to start doing that to Elliot.
It's little things like that that kind of,
Yeah.
keep you guys sane, I think,
Oh my God. It really builds bonds, and like, I don't know. They're my brothers, man. They really are.
Yeah, that's cool. I worked with, I did the Rogers,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually made it a split with an Ohio band called Panda Strike.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Remember them, yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. That was fun because I didn't even know. I was just like, let's do a split. You both good? And they're like, yeah, we're good. We used to tour together. I didn't know they were actually friends until like I was presented. So I was like, oh well, that makes even more sense now. Let's do a cool split.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know Panda Strike was another cool band that were I think kind of in the same boat as Short Bus, where they really bree little grind kind of short songs. You can tell it was like jokey, but they got a little more serious with a different vocalist later on.
Yeah.
And it was actually like not bad stuff, but they had a short life, like a lot of bands, so they didn't,
It was like I feel like a lot of us were really just kind of getting better at our craft, but it was easy to put it on the internet. So it was like you had these bands that would like fizzle out very quickly, but you would evolve into something else, or like, start with different people or whatever. But you were definitely learning how to work the industry of music and like how to get fans, how to like make MySpace profiles. Like, there was a lot of work that went into getting popular, and I think there's like a business side of things, and if you didn't try it at least with one of your bands, you were losing for your next like good project. And so like I feel like there were so many good bands that like just didn't do anything for a while and or fizzled out.
Right. No, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, even now, even with like the label, like I feel like I always got to be on top of like commenting back, hitting people up.
It's
talking.
It's way worse now.
Oh,
yeah.
Like with algorithms and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a second job, just trying to like find ways to get your more reach. Engage with everybody. Like it's it's almost like I have two jobs where I do the label and then I try and do stuff so people notice.
You essentially need another person to do the business side of things. If you want to focus on the music side of it. And that was one of my biggest things whenever I was trying to do like my, electronic stuff. Like that was really tough, realizing that, my reach was gone if I didn't just continuously pump stuff out. And I was like, dude, I got a full-time job. I got a family. I don't got time for this. I was making music. Like,
right.
Music should speak for itself. What happened to sending something to someone and them going, wow, this is great, let's put it out? Like, there's more now than you got to worry about.
It's over.
You're an influencer too. You have to show everyone what you're made of. Are you personable? Like,
there's a lot of bands that I've been reading that say like their label wants. I mean, even See Next Tuesday, they said they were like Good Fight Records. They remember them telling me like at the show, and they said they were like, oh, you guys should make a TikTok.
Yeah.
And then Fox of Vocals was like, he's like, I'm like 40 years old. Like, I don't need fucking TikTok. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, no, I mean, like I get that's where it's going now, and like TikTok is like the biggest thing to get exposure on. Like, I get it, but like, like maybe younger bands, but that's a 40-year-old to be doing like TikTok stuff to get some sort of like traction seems just like almost like a desperate, like a
to a degree. You
agree, you know what I mean?
Pull out of yourself on TikTok, because if you don't get a following because you don't fit the algorithm, you're a nobody. And like that's kind of demeaning in itself. Like just having a TikTok, you really do have to be gimmicky and everything to catch people's attention. And it's like if you're just a band putting music out, you got to get real lucky if like enough people see it or like it, if you beat the algorithm. Like, I don't like playing games like that. I want my music to just be music and you can listen to it if you want to.
Right.
And the fact that labels are pushing towards that is kind of sad, but at the same time, I love platforms like Bandcamp. Like, I get my music out there, and
Bandcamp's really good.
Fucking do about it, like that's what I like.
Bandcamp's good. Yeah, I think Bandcamp's, Facebook's uses, Instagram's.
Yeah.
Instagram isn't horrendous. It's good to like kind of get your stuff out there, but it's hard to like have music there. Like MySpace, you had a player. It had everything in under one umbrella. It had your About Me, top 8 kind of showed what other bands you're into, a bio, 4 songs. You could almost put like a whole like EP on there. You know what I mean? They had everything. Yep. So it was like a nice little, a nice pod where everyone kind of had their own thing, and it was easy to kind of network. Where now it's like, and now people are making link trees with like, here's my merch, here's my thing, and it's like, why don't somebody just make a site again?
Right. Just like let's make a music site, please.
Yeah, like link tree just seems. I've seen some bands where it's just like 20 things, and I'm like, man, like merch, Eurostore, like single here, single or Spotify, Bandcamp, and I'm like, dude, that's fucked. You know what I mean? Like it's just somebody bring back MySpace. You know what I mean?
Like
Tom was on something.
I liked SoundCloud for what it was, but like at the same time, you still had to have other things to link to. It was like, there's no one specific hub anymore. Does Tyler still hate the first 2 SPPU albums? What does he think about them now? I don't hate them. I just like I said, for my building blocks. I was just messing around. I wasn't really taking it seriously. So I listen to them occasionally, and certain parts come on like, I can't believe I fucking did that. And then there's other parts that are like, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think to do that now? Like there's some like of the electronic mixing together like weird stupid beats randomly within the songs. Like I love that still. Like I look for that in bands like Gore Grind or Cyber Grind bands that like are still growing and popular. Like Libido Airbag. There's a band named Libido Airbag, and they use a drum machine and samples similarly to what I used to do. And like I didn't know they were a thing back when I was making this music. I wish I did, because I would have gotten better ideas. But like, I was just fucking around on FL Studio. Honestly, and it was a good time for the time, but I could take it or leave it. It's nice to have those around, and it's nice to still have them on my computer.
Right. Yeah. You ever think of like re-recording them?
I've thought about re-recording a lot of things, but the more I think about it, the more work it seems like to put together something that like I would have to remember how to play. I would have to reprogram the drums. It's a lot of work for someone. I mean,
once you get those kinks out, I feel like it'd be, because if you spent 5 minutes on a song, if you put 10 into it, it's already going to be better.
Right. You have a point. I didn't put much work into the.
No, it kind of would be. I get a lot of work, but I feel like it would be kind of an interesting take to see.
I think
an older version.
I think I have this. I have a terrible habit of nitpicking the shit out of my music now that I know what I'm capable of. I don't let bad music slip by. Like I will not release something before I feel like it's ready, and sometimes stuff just doesn't get released because it's not ready in my own mind. But I'll play it for someone else and it's like, why the fuck have you released that? And I'm like, well, it sucks, and it only sucks to me. So like I feel like if I were to redo something that I didn't like to start, I would try to make it better and better and better till I liked it. And who's to say that will ever happen? Right.
No, I almost like you're your own worst critic type deal, right? Yeah. And everyone around you's like, no, it's good enough. You're like, not yet.
Not for the public.
Do you know the YouTube channel Slaughtered?
Maybe.
She uploads like old school 2000 stuff, all the EPs and stuff like. But that's who asked if you liked the first 2 Short Bus.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
behind
I'm pretty positive, because even the other day, because I don't keep up with channels very much. I don't sub to a lot of channels. I'm just always on the search. And but the other day, someone was asking on my Facebook feed, like, if anybody had bands similar to I've Been Shot and Pencil and Syringe. Like, oh, hold on a second. And I went on this massive search, and I'm pretty sure some of the Slaughtered stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she has like tons of stuff. But yeah, that's the That's who she is, anyways. But someone else, their trailer curb says the old school methods will always work better for less popular genres, especially. It's all about physical albums and merch. Yeah, I mean, I hate the digital stuff. Like, I mean, I don't hate it, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm a physical guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. That's the kind of like I like. You know.
If I turn this camera just a little bit, like I have so many collections of dumb shit like all over my house. So I totally get that.
Dude, like,
Yeah, I know.
and then I got all these CDs and stuff and like signed
Yeah, I
posters.
mean, I've got a VHS collection of like 500 plus horror tapes. Like,
Yeah.
it's
I got about
become
600 shirts in my room between all those, and then everything behind me here is all black.
I got tubs of clothes I can't fit into anymore, but I refuse to throw away.
Yeah, it's yeah. No, I mean that's the thing. So like, as much as I love Bandcamp, but I'm just like, it's such like a less of an experience to like click buy, pay it, and then put it on your iTunes. Where like you go to the store, you pick it out, you go home, you unwrap it, and then you go through the lyrics. You read I found so many bands in the thank yous of other bands.
Oh yeah,
liner
sure.
notes. You know what I mean? Like,
the hunt was the fun part.
yeah.
Like
So,
I stopped. What pissed me off was when Goodwill stopped even selling good items. Like anything that they felt was good, they would put on the online store for you to auction off. It's just like, bro, you're Goodwill. Like this is supposed to be thrifting, but like shitty version. So can I just come to your store and sift through the records and hope that I find something sick? Like you really have to ruin it for me?
Yeah.
I saw someone just ask the question, what is the Hounds? And the Hounds is another band of mine. It was a British influenced rock band that I played the drums in.
That's cool.
We did. That's probably like one of my favorite bands I was ever in, aside from Short Bus. Like I have like 3 core bands that I was just like, I mean 2 technically that I was really in love with. And one of them was the Hounds. The Hounds was me and high school friends. Once we got out of high school, like the 3 of us learned how to make music together. Like I learned how to play guitar with the guitarist Ryan. He bought a drum set and couldn't play it, and then one day was like listening to me fool around on it. He was like, "You're already better than me. Do you want to play drums?" And I was like, yeah,
that's funny.
Sure. And he was like, well, those are yours. You can come over and practice anytime you want. And so we would just get together and jam, and that turned into a band. We got our friend Josh. He was learning how to play guitar with us, and he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna buy a bass and we can have a band. And so he learned how to play the bass. And
that's wild.
For years, while Short Bus was a thing, the Hounds were still a thing too.
Oh, so you actually had the Hounds back then?
Yep.
Oh, cool. That's wild. Did you ever get a fan that dug deep into your musical and went, fucking this guy's in some British fucking...
Yeah.
Yeah? He's a poser.
There's so many people that call me poser, dude. Like, I've gotten called, like, poser, homo, like, all the things that people would assume about me, they have. Like, but I would play into it. Like, I, of course... would make fun of these people, but at the same time, I was asking for it sometimes. Like, I know what I look like. I don't have long hair. I have like trendy clothes. Like like my glasses are circular. Like no one looks at me and goes, that guy's a metalhead. Like, I know that, but at the same time, like, if you were to hear what I listen to while I'm at work, you'd be like, the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, sometimes it's harsh noise. It's literally just a wall of sound, like, distorts my ear. And, like, that's what I like. But, but outwardly, I don't look like that. So I would go to some of the Short Bus shows dressed like a dumbass. Like, I remember one time I wore a tucked-in blue collared shirt with suspenders and really tight pants. I looked like I was in Kings of Leon. And
My God.
we were headlining, and so this guy, like, I'm standing on the side, and this guy elbows me. And he goes, "Why do you look so gay?" I was like, "Excuse me,"
He knew you were
and he was like,
in the band.
"You don't look you don't look like you belong here, man." And I was like, "Is that?" Is that a thing? Like, people belong here? And I was like, come here. And so I took him to the bar. I bought him a drink. I was like, I just basically told him how you can view people or how you can assume about people. And I was like, I'm going to surprise you in about 20 minutes. So I'm letting you know, don't judge a book by its cover. And so I got on stage and I was like, this whole set's dedicated to that guy. And so we played our set, and after we got off stage, he came up and dapped me, and he was like, dude, I was here for your band. I had no idea. Like, the whole reason I came was to see you guys. And the fact that you did that blew my mind. I have a totally different view on life. Like, I'm sorry. Let me buy you a beer. And so, like, at that time, you know, I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, I changed someone's perspective on just everything, because, you know, you really shouldn't care that much. And that was part of the fun of the whole, like, Waking the Cadaver was going to beat my ass, because they were calling me like a hipster F word. Like, I was just like, dude, I don't care what you have to say about my appearance. Like, that means nothing to me. I probably could still beat your ass. That's the funny part. Like, I don't look the way I am on purpose. Like, I do whatever the hell I want. So,
Right.
like, if I know I look good in this attire, I'm gonna wear it. I'm not gonna wear a uniform for you because you think I should. Like, that's
for sure, absolutely.
And so yes, the hate often flows directly towards me, and I've never let it bother me.
It's funny you say Waking the Cadaver, because I remember when they started getting traction that all the death metal guys hated them too.
I mean, honestly, it was because of that fucking meme. Do you remember?
Oh, the shredded wheat.
The shredded wheat meme. Like,
that didn't help.
It was a big joke to the metal guys. So, I mean, granted, they didn't deserve that at the time, because I love that song. I love that album. But it is funny that someone made an MS Paint animated video of, you know, like, shredded wheat.
It fits well too. It was so good.
It is wheat, shredded wheat. I mean, that's the lyrics, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. And it just
what
had, like,
happened to it?
Up on this
telephobic art? Are you kidding? This guy knows everything about me.
That's Slaughtered. That's the chick, the YouTube.
Okay.
She's a little bit of a detective.
Well, I mean, Nardwar over here. A telephobic art. Okay, so here's a little backstory on that. I went to college for graphic design, and this was about the time when, you know, pirating things wasn't really a thing. So I had gotten big into making MySpace profiles and, like, t-shirt designs, like pamphlets and things like that. And I was doing, like, side work, freelance stuff, while I was in school. And so I was learning how to do the business side of things at college. I was taking all the electives I needed to transfer to, like, an actual good art school. And then people started pirating Photoshop and the entire Adobe suite after I had paid like $400 for it.
Like on torrents and stuff?
Yeah. And so 14-year-old kids were coming in and stealing my work. And so they were like, all right, I got a guy who's willing to do this for $20 and you're telling me you're going to do it for $100. I'm going to go with them. And I'm like, well, my work is worth $100. Why would I do it for $20? It's not. Like, well, I can get it from him. And so that started happening a lot. And I went to my professor and I was like, what am I supposed to do at this point? And he was like, unless you start a business right now, you're kind of going to screw yourself. And even then, businesses fail 90% of the time. You also have to take some business classes to learn the ins and outs of that. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I already spent all this money on this. And so at that point, you know, I had a telephobic art doing, like, band merch, and that was also what I was doing, like, street work wise. So if anybody on the street came up to me and was like, I need this and blah blah blah, that was the project name. So Once I graduated with my associate's degree, I said, screw it, I'm not doing art, and I went full force into music. So, because music at the time, like, still a joke, but I was learning, and so I was like, music's more fun anyway.
Yeah, art's a hard gig to get into, I think. Especially
now, but like,
right.
Back then, I was so disappointed to see that happen.
That's wild. I guess I'm gonna hop. First of all, I want to pause this for a sec. In the background, is that a VHS sticker?
Yeah. I have a lot of those. Let's see what.
It's like a big bold, right?
Yeah, it says VHS is happiness.
Yeah, I have the same sticker. It's all.
Yeah, I buy a lot of stuff from Lunch
Meat. Yeah. That's funny. I recognize it like as soon as you came on, but I keep meaning to be like, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got mine on my VCR, so I can't show it. It's in the other room.
I seriously have like 100 of those because of how much I buy.
I haven't bought from them in years, but there was a period in 2013 to about 15, 16 where I got heavy into like collecting and doing and buying all that cool little random shit from like little indie labels, like little indie production places. But Secret Lair and like those guys, Lunch Meat, and there was a couple. Even Massacre Video was really cool.
Massacre Video is awesome.
Yeah. He's from Detroit, so I used to go like to convention TV there, and I would just like scoop up like everything.
They're hard to come by. You got to pay some serious cash on eBay for their tapes.
I sold all mine a few years ago. And I got some coin for it.
Huh? Should have been to me.
I didn't know. I
know.
What? No, even his tapes. Like sometimes he did like convention only tapes with like 30 of them, and I did. I buy all those like Forced Entry and all that stuff. And, I had all those, but I got. It's hard to collect everything, It's.
Tell me about it. I have a half-finished pin board for enamel pins.
Yeah.
I got CDs in that room, tapes in that room, more tapes over here. I got posters, X-Files. Like my X-Files collection is massive. It's just
it's
ridiculous. Playing disc golf. I just got a million things I do that I probably need to narrow it down just a little bit.
Just for TLC hoarders that ask for an episode, Here.
Let's get famous again.
That's so funny. All right, I'm gonna go back to the questions here because I got a couple more. I don't want to.
I can shoot the shit all night. Let's get some questions going.
Yeah. No sweat. Okay, so we're going back to the lyrics.
Okay.
Who wrote most of the lyrics? And I'm assuming you had a hand in them, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So did you have lyrical inspiration? And what else was also like the thought process behind some of these? Well, any of the songs, but did you have to get into a mindset and stuff? Because some of it's quite graphic and quite, just like it's to the point where it's comical because it's over the top. You know what I mean?
Which is like what we were going for. I mean, okay, so some of the earlier songs. Like I said, with the very first releases, there were no lyrics. It was all just Logan making gurgly sounds. And we were okay with that for a while. But when those songs, we had picked specific ones from that release to work into the new stuff for the full length. We were like, okay, well, we really need to write lyrics for these songs. I think there was a community, like the band were coming up with the song names, but for the most part, when it came to the lyrics, I think at the time when we were recording the promo, I sat outside of the studio writing most of those lyrics, just like right before recording them. So like it was a very quick loss of Logan into recording the promo. So I didn't have a lot of time to do that. So the odds and ends that came from, I think there were like 3 or 4 songs that I didn't get done before the promo that we didn't put on the promo, later we put on the album. Me and Elliot wrote together, which were more the jokey ones. And then as we wrote like the final 3 or 4 for the album,
You're talking about
that
the Seven Records album, that one,
yeah,
the last one?
yeah,
Okay.
the full length, that was mostly just like rehashed stuff from what we didn't have on the promo, which me and Elliot worked on, and then the last 4 songs I think I wrote all of them for, and they were the ones that were like a bit more medical and serious. Like
Yeah.
I think necrotic skin stitching, repulsive display, urethral myiasis, and ball peen beating, maybe. I don't know. That one's like the in between where Elliot came up with that band name because he was literally spinning a ball peen hammer in the garage, and he was like, "I wonder what it feel like to get beat up by one of these." And he was like, "We should make that a song." I was like, "I'm on it."
Onto it.
On it. So like as far as the mindset I had to be in, writing lyrics has always been a chore for me. I like to write lyrics, but not I wouldn't say death metal lyrics are fun. You know, it's kind of a task. And as far as inspiration is concerned, I would take inspiration for the more serious songs from bands like Disgorge and
Okay.
Condemned. Condemned's lyrics are insane. Like Angel is really good at the whole like medical and metaphorical shit as far as the lyrics are concerned, and I always found that to be fascinating, like that style.
Right.
It's really easy to write the funny ones. Like me and Elliot would do those in a couple minutes. Like those, like Swift Anal Fist, that was a quick one. Like I could do that all day. Fecal Matters, I can do that in 20 minutes. That's Def Jam poetry to me. Like I can do that. But when it becomes more serious, that's harder.
Right. Yeah. There was when I was scooting through them this morning, and there was moments where I laughed out loud because it's not only did it rhyme so well, like you would rhyme words with clit and like and then also like made sense, and I was like what what I mean?
That's actually a Cannibal Corpse influence.
Yeah,
I've always loved George Fisher's style of writing. So I've always loved how and that was part of the reason why whenever I would do my vocals, I kind of vocalized a bit more. I wanted the words to be pronounced more than just the gurgle. Because I love Cannibal Corpse. Like their style is very deeply ingrained in me. And like I've always, any idea that I've had kind of shoots back to them. I think our biggest influence is Dying Fetus on a whole, like all around. Just all the styles combined, it just fits that very well. But as far as like my vocal technique plus how I used to write was very George Fisher.
Okay.
It was my own. Because his rhyming patterns were awesome. Like the way that he would like have stanzas that were almost poetic, that always appealed to me. Because not many bands did that. It was always just like a wall of text that they would fit into a song, and I was like, I don't know. I kind of like when it fits.
That's what I noticed when I was reading it. I was like, there's a lot of them like, especially a lot of like the gore grind bands, like Torso Fuck and stuff. Like you can tell where it's like, the lyrics are just, there's no rhyme. They're kind of just like being brutal. You know what I mean? But when I was reading the short bus stuff, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like it actually rhymes. I mean, as much as what you're writing about is like wild.
Yeah.
But then I go, okay, like, he's rhyming words and stuff, and it's kind of like, it was cool. It was just cool to see, because I don't think a lot of bands take the time to actually take that part into consideration and go, crazy lyrics, and we're also rhyming it all, and kind of telling a story throughout it. And I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool. That's
the fun side that we get to still, put out there. It's not as goofy as before, but at least, we get to add fun elements, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. So samples. Where do you guys get some of your samples from?
Let me just say, I scour the internet for, okay, and a lot of them are from terrible places. Like some of them, there were, okay, there's this one website that I got a lot of them from this website. It's called efucked.com. I would not recommend going there.
F-U-K-T.
Yeah, that's the one. It's kind of well known within the millennial community.
Well, it's kind of like Best Score and Rotten.com. Like, there's all those things when I was a teenager. You know, I started on the internet and looking at dead bodies and shit.
So that, like, the very early stuff that was like the gore grind, not gore grind, but the grind stuff. It's like that was like mostly recorded from my DVD collection. I think there were a lot of like Aqua Teen stuff and bum fights, stuff like that. Like, you know, the cult classic stuff at the time. I would sample that, but as time went on, I started scouring for like specific stuff for the song titles, and eFucked had a lot of good stuff. Like, and it's because it was all like the funnier side of pornography, and while that doesn't really mean it's I don't know. I think some of it was a little too much, but like on the putrid pelvic prolapse stuff, like that was heavily sampled, and it wasn't Funny or Die. It was the other stupid website.
E-Bombs World.
Oh man, E-Bombs had plenty. It was fuck, where did we get Yucko the Clown from? I can't remember.
Yucko?
The Damn Show. That's what it was. The Damn Show. Yucko the Clown is at the beginning of what song is it? I don't even remember what song it is. But he's the one that's talking about taking a clowny shit. And so like we would just, you know, we would sample anything that we felt was hilarious for the beginning of our songs or in between songs. Like I think we sampled Blazing Saddles, which is terrible. But like I think American Pie is in there. Just like some of them are ridiculous, but as time went on, we put less samples in. The more serious the songs became, and I don't know. It was fun. We really liked doing live samples. I think being able to have like an iPod ready to play a sample at a specific time live, it really sets the show off. Like people aren't expecting to hear that, and we would always make sure we had something like that. It eventually became like David had a drum pad that he would hit, and he eventually turned the drum pad into a 808 drop, which was also on for the live show. But yeah, I guess I have to suffer. Yeah, that was a bad one. That was. I'm not proud of that one.
I think when I was listening to what is there one where someone's puking, or is that the supper one?
Yeah, she's gagging on dick, and
that's it.
Yeah, she's puking spaghetti all over this dude's nuts. So that's why she says that.
Yeah. That's the lyrics. I remember the lyrics for "gagging on dick" was interesting too.
Yeah, because that's the one my mother hates.
Really? Huh?
I never would have guessed. Yeah.
It's the last line though. What's the last line again? You remember?
She dies with pride, gagging on the dick.
I'm just like, cool, nice.
Yeah.
Like, did you feel? How did you feel cool writing that?
I felt like an asshole. Like like back then, I said so many things I would not say now. Like just in general, like. I just watching videos of me back then. I'm just like, God, I was a fucker. Like I would not be like that now. But you know, like now, it's kind of like, bro, I'm ashamed to a degree of what, you know, the things I did for the band back then. But at the same time, I see the humor in it, and
Yeah.
you know, it's just I think there's a fine line now where at this point, you know, we're older, and if we do any new music, it'll probably be less misogyny, less like
Really?
less gore. You know, it'll be a little bit more serious.
Kind of stuff.
I actually brought up the idea of to the vocalist, if he, when writing the process, if he could keep a couple songs from the perspective of a woman and like kind of flip the script on death metal, because I feel like death metal is very
Yes.
male misogyny, like let's kill women and all the bad things.
That's where the
like, let's let the woman do all the bad things to somebody. I don't think anybody's done that yet. So I thought it would be cool to like have like maybe like you've seen the movie The Witch, like you know how there's you know, there's an entity, a female entity that's empowering, you know, at the end.
Right.
I like the idea of that for an entire concept album, even because I don't feel like enough people do that.
It'd be cool to have like, a whole women, like a whole concept album of like a woman going like on like a revenge killing spree, or you know what I mean, like some sort of cool
style, just ripping dicks off. You know?
What?
I spit on your grave.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, that's what I mean. Like it'd be that'd be wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That'd be kind of a cool idea though. I feel like it would definitely flip the script, and you probably still get haters like you did back then. So it'd be
can't wait. I really.
Right, but well, I feel like was there a question up here? No, there wasn't.
I feel like I missed a few questions. Honestly, I just.
Well, there was Slaughter asked the Wigger Slam. You kind of already touched on that already. Why you don't like it?
Yeah.
So
I don't like the derogatory term in the live, and I prefer to not be, you know, thrown into that mix. I don't really like when other people say it either.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, so what I was gonna say was the whole like lyric thing. Like I get back then like deathcore lyrics were very, you know, misogynistic and, you know, anti-woman kind of thing. But I always kind of viewed it, and still do. I view it as like a horror movie, but in a musical way. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's how they're in. Mother, honestly, is like she and I used to like. I was a pretty good student, and so I didn't miss a lot of school. But whenever I did, you know, it was usually because I didn't feel well. And so what she would do is on my days where I was sick, she would go down to the video store and rent a couple horror movies, come home, and we would watch them together. And so she got me into horror, oddly enough. And so I had to explain that to her. I was like, pretty much, it's for entertainment purposes. Music is entertainment. It's not something to be always taken too seriously. And as far as death metal is concerned, none of it is serious. No one's taking it that far, except for if you're a crazy black metal band that loves to burn churches and murder people. I don't think most of the bands are going out and doing or influenced by music in the genre to be terrible people. And for the entertainment of this style, everybody says, and these topics are all for show. And she was understanding of that, you know, like that's part of the reason why she's okay with it. But like the idea is still kind of awful to her. But
well,
you know, she's still proud.
Yeah. If I had a kid who was writing about, you know, the stuff that's in Short Bus songs, you know, gagging on my dick, I mean, I would, you know, my first response would be, I'm so proud of you, kid.
You did it. Good job. Are you winning, son?
Yeah, here's your gold star, son, you know, but it's right. Like no one really goes, oh, you know, Eli Roth and you know, everyone that makes horror, like the torture porn, like it's a movie, right? It's for entertainment. So it's the same thing. Like, you know, well, especially death metal bands, like you said, it's definitely just like reading a storybook, a horror novel. You know what I mean? Like the singer for Cannibal Corpse isn't going out and fucking, you know what I mean? Like doing that shit. Like, you know what I mean?
He's just playing WoW. That's all.
Yeah. So question, do you still keep any short bus pile up old merch? Do you still have a necrotic skin poster?
Yes, I think so. Hold on.
The Queen Guillotine's in the house. Ooh.
This used to be framed on my wall, but the frame fell, glass shattered, and so I'm gonna have to reframe it. But I keep all the merch I can find. I had a bad habit of not we were real stingy with our money. Like, Short Bus was a very business oriented thing, because in order for us to play all the shows that I told you we would push to play, we had to save money. And
wow.
We put everybody from the very beginning put like about $200 into the band fund to start. And we were like, we're going to use this money to make more money, basically. And so that funded, merchandise or touring or anything like that. So any money that we made went back into the band fund, and we never split it. So all of the money that the band made was self-sufficient. And so when we would make shirts or print anything, I never bought it or took one. It was just so like, no, that's for profit. I don't need that. That's like, it's my band. That. And so I don't have a lot of our merch. Most of our band doesn't have a lot of our merch, which is stupid in a way, but at the same time, we're just very hardcore into making sure that the band succeeded. So we didn't really take our own merch. And now I'm spending like $50 on an old shirt of my own band that I could have had for free. So like, if I see it on eBay, I'm bidding against you. I'm sorry. And I might win because I'll spend whatever it takes. Yeah, I mean, I have some things, but not nearly as much as I wish I did.
You should have just saved it, because in the end, you actually spent more money.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Could
no,
I just put $14 in the damn band fund and called it a day. But no, I got to spend $80 on a long sleeve.
It's true. I not many Short Bus merch comes up, and then it does. Usually, people want kind of a little bit of some will off.
Oh yeah. I tried to buy the promo. No, not the promo. It was Putrid Pelvic Prolapse came up, and I was like, oh fuck, I don't have one of those. And it came up as a dual sale with another demo, like burn CD demo. I was like, fuck, this is gonna go way too expensive. And it was like over $100. It's like, I can't afford that right now. I'm gonna have to wait. I don't.
Yeah, that's a bummer. What was the other demo? Like a Short Bus, or just like?
Oh, it was another band. I don't even remember who it was, to be honest with you. It was like it was a good death metal band, but I don't really remember.
Yeah, I remember getting mine probably 3-4 years ago. Someone sold me both of them.
Nice.
For not a bad price. I think it was like $80 for both or something.
That's really not bad. It's really not bad.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm gonna scoop those sure, because yeah, I don't really see them often. But I mean, I talk to a lot of people that have stuff, so if I come across anybody,
Andy was the one that showed me about the sale on eBay, and he said he would fucking buy it for me. That's how cool this guy is. And I told him, no, don't do that. I'll buy it. Don't worry. And I didn't bid enough, and I lost. And he was like, motherfucker, I want to buy it.
Drop the ball, buddy.
I know.
Yeah, well, you're probably. That's funny that you have to buy your own music back. Freaking.
It sucks. And what's funny is I could totally go to a pressing plant and just be like, here, press me one, but I don't know. I feel like one-offs are way expensive too.
Well, that too. Plus, I mean, you got both of them now when we did our thing, right? The Slamography.
Right.
But
you see why.
Well, yeah. But I also, I know about like wanting the OG thing too. You know, the one that was made back then, right? So I mean, I get it. As much as I love doing what I do, I still hunt for the original because that's just the collector, right? That's just
you want that first pressing. It's, I mean,
100%.
Like first edition comic book. You're not gonna get the reissue. Fuck that. That's not worth it.
You guys should have reprint the slam hats.
That's a very hot commodity. Like, I feel like a lot of people want the slam hats, and surprisingly, you all might get your wish. I've been talking with a couple of people. Some people want to work with us, but I don't want to prematurely do that, because like I said, new material is sitting, and so if we can get the ball rolling with it, we will print new merch. And the slam hats were one of the things that the people who would be pressing it were talking about reprinting. So,
are you doing vinyl?
As far as the music is concerned, it all depends on if we go with the label, what label, and what they require, what they would like to do. At a point, I think we were offered to do a vinyl release of the full length, but we said no because of how big of a thing like our first release was. Like, the CDs are hard to come by, and we pressed a lot of those. Like, Barrett gave us 3 runs of that and was just like, we would sell them all, and we'd be like, here's some more. And so we would sell them, and then he'd give us more. So there's
right.
a lot of those, but they're still hard to find.
Yeah.
No one gets rid of them. And so we like that. We like the fact that they're hard to find. If we start pressing more versions of it and all this other stuff, then it loses value. And we're, as collectors, we don't particularly like that.
Right. So you don't know what you're doing yet, or there's...
Yeah, nothing's been solidified yet. I've just been contacted by a reputable company who does printing, and they've repressed some of our stuff before, a while back. So I know they do good work, and I buy a lot of my stuff from them. So.
What would they be repressing? The last The Severed album?
No, it wouldn't be any of the music. It would all be merchandise.
Oh, they're doing merch? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
But we don't want to, like, they offered to do a new design. And I was like, let's hold off on that until we make sure that we're going to release something. Because we don't want to put a new design out and make people think that we're going to release something and then we don't.
Yeah,
so,
true.
But they're willing to press old merch as well. I still have all the designs. I just need to update the back print on some of them because they were specific fonts, and the fonts don't show new programs. So.
Right. Yeah. No, that's cool. That's exciting. What was I gonna say here? Oh, so I guess talking about labels and stuff, I was gonna ask, what was your guys' thoughts when I reached out to you guys to kind of, like, were you shocked at, like, it's been so many years? Do people give a shit, or you kind of already knew that Short Bus still had a little bit of a cult following, or like what was what went on your guys' camp?
Honestly, it was I was kind of tipped off from my cousin Elijah, the guy I originally started Short Bus with. He said that you had contacted him a while back about wanting to press the early stuff, and I was like on the fence about it. Originally, I was just like, well, I don't know. Like, Short Bus is kind of, it's not really as popular as it was, and I don't want this guy to like release something and not make his money back and stuff like that. So I was, on the fence at first, but then as time went on, I started to realize, like, with TikTok and things like, like Instagram doesn't have a whole lot, but like I would see new videos surfacing of people like playing our music or our songs being posted on YouTube, or like, you know, other footage, you know, being posted on YouTube, or people playing our music on TikTok and making TikTok videos with our songs, like that
That's
type
cool.
of thing. Like, okay, well, maybe we do still have enough of a following to release something like that. And then you hit me up personally, and after talking with you, because we've had offers for random stuff all the time, like everybody wants a piece of short bus, like they feel like they can make money off of short bus, and that I can usually tell the difference between someone who's, you know, just trying to make a quick buck or someone who genuinely. And just speaking with you for a little while, I was like, this guy seems legit. Everything that he says is very genuine, and I like the way that he wants to do business, which, you know, I told you short bus has always been about business. I don't want to short the guys anything, so, you know, I always want to run it by them first. So I approved of whatever you came to the table with originally, and then I sent everything to them. They were like, that sounds awesome. And so, you know, right off the bat, like we were all gung-ho about releasing with you, and we're still very stoked on everything. So like the way that things went, the way that things, like Elliot saw that I was doing this, he was like, that's fucking awesome, you know, like, so everybody's just really still stoked that, you know, we did what we did with you. So yeah.
I didn't think it was gonna happen. So
Yeah.
someone gave Elijah. His name's Elijah, right?
Yeah. So yeah. Elijah and Elliot are hard to keep apart. Their names are hard to like distinguish because like they were both technically in the band. Elijah, I think he's listed on the Metal Encyclopedia as the sample guy, which is pretty much what he was. When we played live, he would take care of the samples. And for a while, we called him Spacebar Guy because he literally just pressed down and Spacebar for the next sample. But he was also a very key factor in the early days of helping me with music. He didn't write anything, but he gave me ideas. He showed me new music, and he helped me with the promotion big time.
Yeah, that all counts, right? I mean, you might not be playing actual music, but promotion and shit is like just as important.
Exactly.
So, no, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I was shocked. Someone said here, this is so is one of. Are you related to Elijah?
Elijah is. I say he's my cousin because he is not blood related. He was my dad's cousin. My dad's cousin is his stepdad. So technically, we're related. I didn't know him for 14 years though.
Oh wow! Okay.
We were randomly at a show together, and we had hung out a couple times. And then one time he came up to me at a show and was like, he like shoved me. He was like, "Hey, you got a cousin named, or you have an aunt named Effie?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Does she live in Woodstock, Virginia?" I was like, "Why do you fucking know this?" And he goes, "We're related." And he pushed me again. Like, okay, well, that makes sense. And we do kind of look similar. Like, and he was like, no, we're not blood related. So I don't know why we look the same, but we definitely have the same family members. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So
that's wild.
Funny
that's cool.
Story about Elijah. I don't know if he's watching or not, but Elijah is also a major collector. Another reason, you know, I am the way that I am. And he and I hung out all the time. And he has I think the original reason why I knew you were trying to reach out to me is because you had contacted him, and I went to go visit him at his store where he was selling he sells knickknacks and stuff like that. So like he thrifts and then he sells the things.
He's the thrifter guy, right? Okay.
Yeah. And so like I came to visit his store and he was like, "Oh yeah, dude, there's a guy who wants to do the early stuff." And I was like, are you are you wanting in on this? Because you're not getting any. He was like, no. He contacted me. I was like, okay, well, yeah, you were just a spacebar guy, and you disappeared for a while, so you're not part of it. But the funny story of what I wanted to tell you was if you Google the term ginger cornrows,
Oh boy.
I think he's like number 3 now, but he used to be number 1 on the image search. His senior picture, he's a redhead, and he had cornrows for his senior picture, and he's like posed like this.
Really? I have to Google this now.
He was on fugly.com for forever.
That's
the
an
senior
honor.
picture. And so, like, if you ginger cornrows, that's all you got to type into Google, and Elijah will be like in the top 5 for sure.
That's amazing. He's a small celebrity.
A small celebrity, yeah.
Yeah.
He's worthy of note.
Yeah, for sure. Did he end up getting did he end up buying a CD or anything, or did you hook him up with
To
one?
be honest, I haven't talked to him in a little while. I've been dealing with a lot of stuff with just personal life in general, so I haven't talked to all of my friends in a while. Plus, like, at my job, I'm a mailman, so like the past 3 years have been really stressful for the postal service. So I don't get a lot of free time to just hang out with anybody. But
Right.
I haven't talked to him in a while. I don't know if he bought anything, but he seemed interested. I feel like he at least bought the CD, but I could be wrong.
I mean, they sold pretty good, so which is exciting. I don't know who got the 5. I think one guy I know got one of the 5s of the red ones, but I haven't seen anybody post anything. So some people just don't post, you know what I mean? But
I think one of my friends got the green one. Someone in Richmond.
yeah,
but not many people posted their awesome finds, and I'm jealous.
yeah, I know. I should have kept one of each color. I did. I usually keep one for myself, but I was like, I feel a red.
And you did what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did, but plus space is a little limited. But I think the stickers turned out really cool. I think
so cool. The fact that you did that was awesome. I was like one of the biggest reasons we were stoked on doing this with you, because you were just very, very diligent in the things that you were doing for us, and it showed that you cared. And that's honestly all we ever want with a record label. It's
right.
I don't care if I make money, as long as the people who are working with us are cool people that care about the music. That's what I want,
And that was me.
Exactly.
No, I'm glad. I'm cool. Yeah. No, I know there's labels out there that kind of just want to, do stuff and make some money and stuff. But I just I was like most of this is driven from just collecting. You know what I mean? It's like, am I ever gonna get these band CDs? Okay, well, let me fucking do them myself. So now I have one, and then everyone else that thinks like me can get one too. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, it's a win-win, really. You know what I mean?
The cooler version of a convention tape.
much cooler. Yeah. And hopefully one day these are worth something. I'm
sure, to be honestly, because of how small.
I mean,
I definitely think they will be. Yeah.
There's a few on Discogs. People aren't really gouging, but the only one that gets a lot of money is the Winds of Plague one. People seem to, but they're obviously like the biggest band I've done, so it makes sense. But also the highest number of that I printed as well, so there's more out there than the short bus stuff. But even the merch was cool. The camo shirt, I love it.
I refuse to wear any of it. Like it's literally in my other music room where I keep all of my gear.
Yeah, I wore mine once, and I'm like, oh, it's so I like it. It's too. I love the orange logo. I think the orange and camo just is a fun combo. It used to be kind of popular back then. I was like, let's fucking do a camo shirt.
My drummer David was all about it, because that was an idea he had before we even split up. He loved camo shirts, and he loved the orange print. We did the orange print on a black shirt.
Yeah.
And they sold really well too.
Which looks cool, but it's kind of Halloween-y.
Right. But I don't mind that at all. It's my favorite holiday.
Yeah, well, me too. So I wouldn't have been mad about that if you guys were like, yeah, fuck camo, we want to do black again. but yeah.
Camo's not metal, dude.
No, what the fuck? Goofs, man. What the hell? No, yeah, I want to do something kind of. I feel like everyone's older now, right? So it's like, do I want to have like a crazy, fucking, you know what I mean, skulls and shit, or like, you know, like mine. I'm more attracted now to just like simple band logo.
Yeah.
A nice, great. So I was like, let's do simple is better, you know. The fucking. Then we kind of went cool with the hoodie though, with Smashed Hammer. That was fun.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And you know how I'm a sucker for symmetry, so I mean, that's how the whole band name started. I just wanted it to look good, letters, you know.
And you nailed it.
Yep.
This guy says, and tanks are neglected. I'm in Cali. Always tanks. I guarantee to buy that if you do it. Yeah, tanks. I get a few people that say tanks, but it's like I don't think. I just don't think they would do as well. If, you know what I mean? Like unless you're
we did a woman's tank, I think, one time, and that did terribly. And we were like, whatever, man. The chicks buy our man shirts. So
did you do some booty shorts though? Because those sold back in the day.
We never really. The only reason we did the slam shorts was because, like, after the fact, these guys came to us with them, and we were like, we just kind of want those for us. But go ahead. Like we wanted them so bad, but we weren't gonna get them pressed. So we each got a pair, and then however many they sold, they kept the profit. I think. I don't even think we made anything. Yeah. It was a small run. It really was.
Yeah, it wasn't like they stole millions from you guys, but.
What's up, Christian? Vamos.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what does vamos mean?
This guy's one of the coolest streamers on Twitch. He does a game called Stream Racer. It's literally just like one of the funnest little games that you can play. But he speaks all in Spanish, and he's got an awesome channel where like he's got an English to Spanish dictionary going in the chat and everything. Everybody can communicate. He's a really cool guy.
That's sick.
Yeah.
And he's in here for you.
Oh, he's so supportive of everything I do. I made a song for him actually. So I did. He was looking for some music that he could play without getting copyrighted strikes for his stuff, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make him a song specifically for him. So I sampled his voice a bunch, and I put it into a drift funk track, and and sent it to him because it's a racing game,
right?
And he loves it. He absolutely loves it.
It's his theme song.
It totally is now.
It plays.
Yeah, and I plan to make more. He sent me some stuff that he wrote like a rap, and he's got like a song that he sang and stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna make a whole album. But time is always on my side. Psych.
Not.
Yeah.
Like a Borat.
Not.
Oh, let me see here. So it kind of tied in with the last question, how you were like, I don't know if people are going to want it, blah, 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 but how do you feel about people still having, talks about Short Bus, and, 15 years later, people are still.
It blows my mind.
About it.
It really
your demos are going for, chunk of change. You know what I mean? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
It's very weird to me. I like, from a music standpoint, like, I understand that, everything has its little, nostalgic place, but at the same time, I feel like people still consider it relevant, which is crazy to me, because like, I also like, I view my music in a different way than everybody else does. Everybody gets to see it from the perspective of a listener, whereas I have to see it from how I wrote it. So I like, just listening to my music, I feel like I'm being cheated out of enjoying it, which is a weird thing to say, but at the same time, it's like, I hear it the way that I wrote it, and I don't get to hear it how they hear it, which is how it sounds. So it's the same way with how it's perceived. Like, I don't really feel the same way that everybody else does about my music, so I can't feel the real commodity of it. I don't know how how it actually feels to be a fan of Short Bus. It's just like, it's still weird to me that anybody even gave a shit in the first place. So,
Right.
like, people were saying to me years ago, like, you were one of the pioneers of slam. And I'm just like, fuck you, you're lying. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But like, people will tell me that all the time. It's like, you were one of the first slam bands to like actually push the genre in a creative direction instead of the like cookie cutter chug style. And I'm like,
Right.
well, I mean, that makes me feel good because that's what we were trying to do. But at the same time, I don't view myself as that important, you know. So it's tough. It really is, and that's with all of my music. I've got records in there from my other like solo project that like are on my wall. I'm proud of it, but like, to me, it's hard to assume that someone's going to see me in public and go, Malleus. And I'm going to be like, why do you know me like that? Like, like I'm not, it's going to feel weird, you know? So being a musician is a very odd feeling. It really is. You don't really get to appreciate your own stuff like everybody else does.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Like some people, like there's even like I've had a few bands be like, oh, like I fucking hate this song because it took me, you know, a week to write it, and then you know there was turmoil between the band members and just bad memories attached to it. So it's like you guys are attached to it in an emotional, you know, in a mental way, where like we just pick up the CD, throw it in, listen, and go, yeah, sick. But no, you know what I mean? So like I get that dynamic you're saying, where that's part of me where that's where like I kind of go, well, I'm glad I never did music, because I feel like it kind of loses the fun if you're doing stuff that you love and you're like, you know, it's just, you know, it's kind of like I feel like you get kind of shortchanged a little bit in enjoying the music that you wrote, and obviously you wrote it because you like that style. You know what I mean? So
I think the core feeling of enjoyment comes from watching people enjoy it live. Like whenever you're playing it for someone, and they are showing you how much they like it. Speaking of which, David motherfucking Wallace in the building. This guy was at every single one of our band practices. He lived across the street from our shed that we used to practice in. And he would hear the music playing and run over to the shed and come busting through high as gas, just headbanging his face off. I love this.
The Kool-Aid Man or something.
This is the coolest motherfucker in the world. Love him. But yeah, I mean, as far as making music is concerned, I'm glad that I did it, obviously. And I think there was a time where, you know, it peaks on how big you feel, you know, like you don't really hit a point where you're like, oh, I'm famous, you know, like you always feel like, okay, well, people like it enough and that's cool with me, but you don't ever, I don't know, it just feels weird to say that like for me, when I put the CD on, all I can hear is the words. And I know for a fact no one else knows the fucking words unless they're reading them. So
I played it this morning trying to read along, and the second line I didn't know what was going on.
Do every single one in my head and I don't hear anything else because that sucks because I want to hear what it sounds like, you know.
Right.
Instead I just hear the parts that I'm supposed to know.
It's like you need one of those Men in Black things, you know, so erase your memory.
Yeah, seriously.
And then put your album on and you'll be like, fuck, this is
great. As long
as
I can get it back, you know, I need a reverse.
Maybe. Maybe.
Just for a little while. I just want to hear all of the stuff that I've made and be like, that's cool as shit. Who made that? You did. Tight. All right, move on to the next one. And after I'm done, just bring me back. And I'm like, man, that felt awesome. You know, like.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. No, it's cool. It's cool to see. It's definitely cool to see that it's come back around. You know, like bands are starting out and they want to sound like a 2006 band. And there's this new crop of kids coming through, you know, especially with like some pages I'm in, as well as even with the label, I get a lot of emails. I'll just be like, you know, I'm 19, I wasn't around for MySpace, but like I'm getting into this, you know, whole genre of like the 2000s kind of stuff, and like it's really cool to see these young kids who missed out on that era, but you know are finding out about it now. Especially with new bands saying, you know, Suicide Silence and, you know, Short Bus and these bands you know, they inspired us to be this band, or those are our inspirations that we look up to. And then they, you know, these young kids check them out, and it's really cool to have like a young kid be like, yo, you know, I found some of my favorite bands through this label, or you know, this post, or somebody posted a YouTube clip or something. And I think it's really cool, and I know things always usually come back, you know, around and stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
It's definitely a fun ride to be able to relive the whole you know,
right. That
whole
wave
scene.
just comes back in, and you get to ride it one more time.
One more, and I'm hoping maybe when I'm 60, one more time. Who knows? But
back in my day, slam wasn't even called that.
Yeah. You know what? Let me tell you, kids, what a pig squeal was. No, but it's really cool, and it's cool that all these, like, the old heads, you know, the guys like us who grew up in that stuff, in that scene, like, still listen to that stuff.
Yeah.
And I personally think that era, if you were, you know, dead about it and you totally into it, like, you know, us and, you know, everyone watching and stuff, like, I feel like that's all our, like, what like the Beatles or like AC/DC was to our parents, is like, that's what is for us, you know, like, I can't see myself hitting 4 or 5 years.
The best way to describe that, in my view, is my dad, like I said, grew up with like the hardcore punk scene. And so he knows Henry Rollins and Ian MacKaye personally. Like, I came home with a shirt with, like, I got from like American Apparel or something like that, and it literally had just like a bunch of like punks on it, and in the corner it said DC Hardcore Punks. Like, that was like the label of the shirt or whatever. And I came home with it, and he was like, I know every one of those people on your shirt. I was like, what? And he proceeded to name them, and then he said he was going to text them on Facebook and tell them that I'm wearing them on their shirt, on my shirt. And I was like, that's fucking weird to me. But at the same time, that's the type of feeling I get whenever, you know, a younger generation has pulled me in as an influence to their band or whatever. Is like, my dad, you know, introduced me to a style of music. I listened to it for a while. I found my own way through music, and then I found the bands that he grew up with, where, like, he was at Ian MacKaye's house where they took their album cover picture, you know, partying on the weekends. And I'm literally listening to it and living by its, like, the lyrics that they're saying. Like, these are things that I'm obsessed about, and my dad lived it. And so, you know, it's only like a little generation gap where we get to experience the same thing our parents did. And I feel like that's definitely a cool feeling to have happen to you now as the older. Yeah, it's
been like passed down to you, where it's like now you're, I 100% agree with that. That's cool. Yeah, no, I agree. That's like, I think people really enjoyed, I think a lot of bands like Short Bus, just like, obviously you guys weren't huge in bands like you, but like, I think you guys didn't realize how much of an impact a lot of these bands, including you guys, had on, like, you know, the 16-year-old, 18-year-old, you know, kids back then.
Right.
Until, like, you know, this revival comes around, and you know, and then you kind of realize, oh shit, like, you know,
we were bigger than we thought. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thought, definitely. And there's a lot of bands I've worked with where they're like, don't release us. Like, what are you gonna sell, fucking 8 CDs? And I'm like, man, I'm like,
originally that's how I felt.
Right.
Like,
I'm like,
you
buddy, I'll sell 100 in a week.
Yeah.
Let's say a week. And it's like, they're like, hell no. And I'm like, do it. Let's do it. Like, and they'll do it, and they'll be like, you know, sell it over the weekend. And they're like, well, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, because this shit, like, you know, is bigger than you thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
There's a resurgence of it. And I think MySpace and that whole scene was just set a lot of people, like, it really made an impact on people. Like, when I look at my favorite times in life, like, I was in high school, I was skateboarding, you know, hanging out with chicks, MySpace, finding all the deathcore and grind bands, going to shows, like, that's perfect. Like, that's like, you know what I mean?
Makeup of who we are. Yeah.
Right. Like, that molded me into the, you know, the useless fucking guy I am now, right? He's collecting a bunch of plastic discs. So,
Yeah.
no, it's real. It's like that's like probably my favorite era of my life.
Yeah.
Because that was just fun. Everything kind of lined up nice. Where it was like, music was sweet. Fucking, you know,
responsibility was low.
yes,
Unless it was something you really loved, and the responsibility of doing it was still fun. So
right.
everything was fun at that moment, and
Yeah, you're at that age.
it was
Like
a nice year
yeah.
of like,
Yes.
well, it was a few years of just like always up. And
yeah, absolutely. Like I'm old enough to go to the show by myself, but mom and dad are still going to give me money to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right? Like that's where it is. Where it's like you have a little bit of responsibility, but you don't. You know what I mean? Like
that reminds me of a funny story. Actually, I was supposed to be in my biology lab in college. It was like, I think I was 20 maybe, and I was not going to miss Full Blown Chaos and Barrier Day. They were playing locally, and I was like, no, I'm going to that. And so me and a couple of my friends in that class skipped class and went to the show. Well, while I was at the show, I got in a fight. Somebody, like, I was talking to one of the girls on the side that I knew from like an hour north that I hadn't seen in a while. And this guy who I guess knows her from school or whatever, like, kept coming over and like crowd killing her and like hitting her in the head. And for me, that's annoying as shit because he's doing it over top of my head and he's hitting a girl. Those are two things you don't do. And so like I just instinctively shoved him the second time he did it, and he fell back on the ground. And like, I guess at that point he was like, I got your number or whatever, and like started like being a little dick. And so this one breakdown during Full Blown Chaos, everybody went apeshit, and this guy came over to hit her again, but he wanted to elbow me too. So as he came down, I saw him coming down, and I fucking hit him and then shoved him off and chased him and then tackled him and beat the living shit out of his face. But I didn't know he came with like 50 other dudes all wearing like Timbs. So they all pile on top of me and start stomping the shit out of me. And then all my friends, because it's a local show and they're from out of town, pile onto them. And it's this massive fight. And everybody's just beating the shit out of each other. And they finally get to the bottom. It's me and this one dude. They pull us apart. My clothes are fucked. Like, they're ripped to pieces. And like, I'm like covered in dirt and I got boot prints on my neck. Like, I look fucked. And I'm like, damn, I gotta go home and say I was in class. And so I get home and I'm wearing my friend Chris's shirt. He traded me shirts, but he's like 4 inches taller than me. Wore like an extra large at the time. I was like a medium maybe. And my mom was like, what happened to you? I missed class, so I went out for a little bit. She was like, I don't want to know. Just go upstairs. And like,
I mean, after the lyrics and stuff, she's probably like, I'm not going to question
yeah,
this kid.
I mean, the amount of times I came home high, just going straight to the fridge, talking to the back of my head, and I'm just like, huh? Like, she had no care in the world when it came. As long as I wasn't in trouble, you know, she didn't really give shit. I was a pretty
right.
Like I said, I was good in school. She would go get horror movies for us to watch if I was ever sick. You know,
right.
She's a cool mom. You know, parents respect you whenever you respect them. It was the same type of dynamic for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you weren't, you know, it's not like you were like some bum on this, you know, not doing good in school. Like, he'd be picked up, you know.
Yeah.
You did fine. You like, you know, you like slam.
I just like eating shit, apparently.
Yeah.
Both in fights and my songs.
And all around, just love shit.
Just a shit eater.
Just a dirty little shit. There was a few questions that we kind of like touched on as we kind of rambled, so I'm gonna skip a few.
Okay.
But basically to kind of close this out, I guess it's like a two-parter, but what is your thoughts on today's scene? Mainly like, you know, the deathcore kind of metal scene, and what are some bands that you're jamming now that are new that kind of have piqued your interest in the scene?
today's scene is a bit beyond me as far as live is concerned. It's been a while since I've gone to a show. Um, and it's not because I don't want to, but partly because I don't want to at the same time. Like, I feel I still have a very large, like, before COVID, I was kind of a germaphobe to begin. Like, I had like little neurodivergent issues where I like to wash my hands. I like to be clean. I don't like, I shower a lot. But I'm a pretty clean guy. And so when COVID happened, it kind of gave me a weird feeling of going out, you know. And so like I had a full-blown panic attack in the middle of COVID, like around Christmas time. I went shopping with my wife for just like a couple relatives. And in the middle of Target, I had like a panic attack because I was just like overwhelmed by the sheer fear of like, and it was subconscious. It wasn't something I was like actively afraid of like this.
Right.
It was just like something I couldn't help. So going out still, even though every day I go to work and in public, and you know, like I'm a public citizen, so I experience situations all the time where I could potentially get sick. But just being close knit quarters with people still kind of freaks me out a little bit. I've been out to a couple things, and you know, I felt fairly normal when it comes to it, but you know, I still don't feel comfortable going to like larger festivals or anything like that. Right. So as far as the scene is concerned, I do think there is a abundance of new music that is worth listening to. I think just the sheer ability to find new music is so easy now. Yeah. Like I love the fact that I can just go on YouTube and wormhole for hours to find great music, or I can still use Last FM to find similar artists. Like Spotify has a similar artist section. All of that is awesome. That exists. I wish some of the algorithms were a little bit better, but I can't complain. I like having a little bit of work to do. So in general, I do think that music is good, thriving. Styles are evolving. Some of it is stale, to be honest, but I think that's just because so much music is out there now. It's so easy to make music. It's bound to happen. Yeah. Back when I was making music, you had to fucking, like, to learn how to play guitar, there wasn't an app for it. You had to go online and hope that the tabs on the internet were right, and then learn another song, and then, you know, hope that eventually you got the theory down. Like, it was a lot harder. And now I feel like Guitar Hero teaches you how to play guitar better than anything else. But right, it's just like I think there's a downside to music in general right now. It's because no one cares enough. There's the generation of, like, I think the millennial generation still cares a lot, because we grew up where it was our personality. It was our core, like, love of hard copy or just a collection in general. Just having an iPod full of shit.
Oh, I got.
Yeah, throwing the aux cord into that bad boy and being stoked about it.
Not at all. This is 100%.
I don't think that's there anymore. I feel like it's very, like, I find myself even doing it now where I will buy a digital album for a couple songs, delete the rest, and save the couple of songs and listen to them every once in a while. Like, I think that happens far too often. I think it's with streaming platforms, it's really difficult for people to enjoy a full album. My son, for instance, he's 6 years old. You know, I try to put on an album, he's done after the first 20 seconds of the first song, and whether he likes it or not. He could love the fucking song, but he'll only listen to part of a song. He won't listen to a whole album. So what I've been doing is I've been putting CDs in a CD player and telling him, if you want to listen to something, this is how you're going to do it. If you want to listen to the next one, you have to press skip and go to the beginning of the song and listen to that. Like, I'm teaching him how I had to do it. And he seriously will listen to a whole album that way. But, like, most people aren't getting that experience, you know? Like, so I think music is in a dangerous place. I think the industry, what's left of it is garbage. It's hard to find labels that do shit beyond the business side of things without expecting you to do too much. Like, like as an artist, they want you to not only make the music but to sell it too. And
right.
That was never my job. I put the work in to make it really good, and if you want the profit of my work, you need to do a little bit of work too. Right. But they just, like, I think most large business moguls will expect way too much of an artist, and for me, that's stupid. So I don't know. I love how much music there is, how good music is now, how creative people are with it, and the options there are to make cool stuff. I think it's ever expanding, but I'm terrified of what happens after it's made. I don't see a positive to it, because as musicians, eventually we're all going to get tired of not making any money off of what we're doing. It's going to be tough for a musician to feel like they're appreciated as a musician when all of their music is fed to an algorithm, and if it hits properly, great, but if not, you're lost in the shuffle and you don't have a choice. Like, I used to go out and play music and talk to people, and they would have labels and they would sell my CD, in their discography, or their distro or whatever. And, I could hand them 5 copies and they'd sell them, and, they'd pay for them full price. So I don't think anybody's doing that anymore. Everybody's just expecting a quick, I'm on the internet now, so I'm famous. And I don't know. It's a weird time. It really is. And for Short Bus to release a new album, we're even worried about whether or not we should go the hard copy way. It's been so long. Are people going to, treat it as much, as they did with the first album? I mean, you've helped us realize that there is obviously still a fan base, but right. Do we take the time to shop to a label? Do we take the time to press a lot of copies? Do we do it on our own, like we did with the early stuff, DIY style, but we have better technology to make it better? Do we do a Bandcamp digital release and make all the money ourselves and just make sure that everyone has it, like, without limited pressing? Like, there's a lot of thought that comes into putting music out now. And
absolutely.
I can literally talk about it for days.
No, I definitely agree, because I think there's pros and cons to today's music standards and stuff. Like, I think kids are getting gypped and fans are getting gypped of, like, going to a record store and, waiting for that day it drops and going there and picking it up. And, like I said, taking off the cellophane and going through it all. And, I think they get ripped on that, because when an album drops, they just press download and they put it on. Mm-hmm. But I forget what singer was talking about it, but she was, God, who was it? It was like a couple months ago, but she was saying that, like, albums aren't even like relevant anymore, because, like you said, you'll buy an album and keep 3 or 4 songs. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, what's the point of busting your hump and doing an album when, I forget the full thing, but it made sense, because it's like, I've done it a few times too, where, like, I'll listen to an album on iTunes and then buy the handful of songs I enjoy. Yeah. Where a CD, you can listen to the whole thing, and it kind of makes you listen to it, because there's not an easy way out. Yeah. Like, don't just skip the button or go, I don't like the sound of this. Plus, everyone's attention spans are like, like TikTok and stuff, where, like, everything's like 40 seconds or less, and it's like flick, 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 boring. Yeah. It's like, if you don't catch their attention in the first 10 seconds of that song, they fucking hate it. But it could be the best song ever. But you know what I mean? Like, it's this, and so I think that's the part. To me, I think it's almost like a rushed and chintzy way that people are getting their music now, where it's like Spotify. But Spotify's cool, because there are people make, like, deathcore playlists, and you can find a bunch of new bands, which I get. Like, that's the cool part. But then it's like actually supporting a band, other than a show. Like, a lot of bands don't even make CDs or Or sometimes they'll do vinyl, but that shit's like over a year wait, you know,
Yeah.
orders and you know that.
Like, I don't see any of them. Like, we have over 2,000 plays a month on Spotify, but I don't see any of that money. It goes straight to Severed, and we didn't sign a contract on digital sales. So of course he gets to keep all that money because we didn't sign anything. He has the rights to all of that. It's fucking terrible. Like, I don't think a lot of people own the music on Spotify. You know, like they didn't upload it themselves, so they're not seeing any of that profit, what little profit it is. You know, and like you said earlier, I think you made a really good point with the being gypped of, you know, the experience of going and buying it. Like, I will never forget being like 8 years old and waiting for the Prodigy's Fat of the Land to come out on CD and driving 45 minutes with my parents to go buy it from the nearest record shop because we lived fucking on farmland, and getting the CD with my own money that I made vacuuming the house, you know, for weeks, and bringing it home, like unwrapping it in the car, like reading the booklet for the entire ride home.
Yep.
Like, all of those experiences, none of these kids are getting at all.
No.
Like, not even kids, but adults. Like, it's gotten to the point now where that hasn't happened since, like, they're kids that are in their 20s now, you know, like.
For sure.
So, like,
Spotify, I feel like got kind of big like almost 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I got it for a little bit when it was getting big, and that was like 2013, 14 maybe, or something like that. Yeah, it's exactly it. Like, I feel like, yeah, they're just missing out. They're missing out because Spotify is just there, and it's like, yeah, and you totally nailed it on the head, where it's like you're reading the booklet in the car, and sometimes, you know, I beg my parents, like, let me put it on, and you know, buying, like, I remember buying White Pony, like, that was my first CD I ever bought in 2000 from phones, and I remember listening to it and on my headphones and just reading it and looking at the thank yous and the cool pictures, and you know, and I was just like, this is like a fun experience, like, I'm, you know what I mean? And I feel like guys, people now, like your buddy here, D motherfucking Wallace, gratification. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, you just poop out an album, and you click download, and then you're on the bus, listen to it, and it's convenient, but it's not fun. It sucked all the fun out of it.
Yeah, you have to expect the band to also have a music video on YouTube for it to be enjoyable, like, to really get you hooked. And there's that extra side of everything that is, you know, no longer the musician's job, but they're expected to do it, and it adds. And you're not making more money for doing this. You're just getting back on the level of being noticed for doing extra work. It's like, I'll go work a 9 to 5, bro. This isn't even worth it. Like, that's
I 100% agree.
It's funny you mentioned White Pony. I literally, before I got on here, saw TikTok. I do use TikTok, but only for finding new music most of the time. Also for funny videos. But the video I saw right before I got off was Chino talking about how the record label forced them to change Back to School to a more rap style song that was I think it was originally much more like the rest of the album, where it was more melodic. He wasn't like rapping for any of the songs. Right. And but because bands like Papa Roach and Limp Bizkit were coming out at the same time, and they were blowing up, the label was like, well, you need a music video for this, and we need the real catchy song for it. So take one of these songs, rewrite it, and we'll put a video on it. And so, against his will, he didn't want to do it, but Chino went home and, like, within a day, rewrote Back to School in this style and handed it to him. Was just like, this took no time or effort at all. I can't believe you want to do this. And he was like, well, this is what's selling right now. And so it's his least favorite song they've ever wrote, but it's probably my favorite. Oh, that music video was awesome.
That's the video. Like, yeah, that's what sucked me in, was that video on, like,
that melody and the chorus. Like, it's so unbelievable that he hates that song. But, like, that's just background information that no one even fucking knows. And it's like, the industry is screwing you in different ways now. Like, it
kind of circles back to how you say, you can't enjoy Short Bus songs because of you made it. And all you can hear is the lyrics. Like, he doesn't enjoy it because he knows the bullshit that went into making it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Against his will, we're like, fuck, this is a banging song.
Yeah, that's a badass song.
Ever, and he's like, nah, I fucking hate that song. So
Yeah.
it's like, because he, lived doing it and knows all the behind the scenes where we're just, the consumer just like, great song. But they didn't even put it on the album. So it's like,
I know.
Well,
it's like the single that they weren't proud of. Yeah.
Like, I remember buying White Pony, and that was circulating, but I kind of forgot the name of the song, so I bought it and I loved it. But I was like, well, where's Back to School? Yeah. And I remember the last song was like 9 minutes or whatever, the Pink Maggot, and it has like that little clip where he kind of does the chorus. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Where's the song, man? It's
the only part of the song they like.
Right. So I was like, I bought it for that song, and it's not even on here.
Yep.
So,
yep.
But no, it's definitely, yeah. I feel like the kids, like and like you said, even like the teen, like the people in their 20s, like they definitely are getting shipped, and it's a bummer.
Fun fact.
But
I know that you just mentioned this, so it brought this into my brain. A lot of people don't know this, but Short Bus used to cover random songs as encore whenever people didn't want us to stop playing. Like we would say this is the last song, we stopped playing, and then people would be like, one more song or whatever. And that didn't always happen, but when it did, we had a couple backups. One of them, I don't know if you remember, on Korn's Follow the Leader, the secret track on that was Earache My Eye by Cheech and Chong from We would cover that.
So heavy, that song?
We would cover that as our encore song. And I would do the Cheech Marin voice like to a T. And whenever he does the part where he's like, I want to slow it down, crazy slow, we would slam the shit out of that song. And everybody fucking loved it. But we only really did it in Richmond and like a couple other places. But, oh man, people loved when we did that shit.
I think you guys should record it one day,
We should. We should put it on a secret track on a new album. Actually, you know what? I actually brought that up to the band whenever we were originally rolling around the idea of doing this. I wanted to cover Static X Push It.
Ooh, yeah.
And put it as a secret track at the end of the last song. Like, just have this big space at the end of the song, and then Matt starts playing. But Bill was not having it. He was like, I can't do these vocals, dude.
I mean, Wayne Static has quite the vocal, you know what I mean?
I
think the Cheech and Chong, though, I think the Hidden Corn song would be, that'd be sick. That song is heavy, though. I think I first heard it in one of the CKY DVDs or VHSs back in, before Jackass. That was, that was sick. Forgot about that song. That song is so long. I guess that's, I mean, I don't have any more questions. I kind of wanted to wrap it up with, see what your thoughts on newer. Well, I guess newer bands that you're digging. I guess you didn't answer that.
Oh yeah, newer bands I'm digging. Let's see. It's weird because I always feel like I am late to the party now because I'm so into so many styles of music now. It's so hard for me to really hone in on a style.
Right.
I think the most recent release that I really liked, actually one of the bands that is local to Richmond that are putting out an album soon, they just dropped a single on Slam Worldwide, Crucial Rip. Go check that out. They have, I forget the name of the song, something Retribution, but it's a really good beatdown style slam song, and their previous album was a bit more deathcore, but I think they're going more heavy style for this new album. They're really cool dudes, and highly recommend that when that comes out. Peeling Flesh, as much as I think it's rehashed repetitive slam, I still love that type of stuff, like extermination, dismemberment, like volatile putridity. Do not ask me for song titles because I don't fucking know, because it all kind of sounds the same. But god damn it, it's good. I fucking love that.
It's one of those CDs where it's like an album where it's like it's not groundbreaking, but it's just a fun record.
Right.
Like it's nothing. But
right.
you want a heavy album.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like people hate like a mirror.
Yeah.
But I love, like Goodbye to the Gallows is like just a heavy record. Like if I want to something
so heavy, like
boom.
And live, it's just as heavy. Like if not.
Oh yeah.
And so like I don't know. I agree with you. Like it doesn't have to have substance that's memorable. It's just so good all around. Like it's a great listen. And that's an album I'll put on and listen to because it's like that.
Yeah, like drive around and just jam it.
Album,
right.
You know.
Right.
So what else? Shit. I have seasons of music. So
okay.
In the wintertime, I tend to go nostalgic and don't really listen to new music. I wish they didn't break up, but I really liked Strangled.
Oh, that's so funny. I was just gonna say, have you heard of Strangled?
I fucking love that, man. That like that two vocalist shit has always been like, as long as they're good together, you know. I like that.
But they videos like. I'll be laying in bed cruising YouTube, like, oh, they dropped a new video, and like I'm sweating in my bed, like like just like the big bald guy is just like screaming and punching himself. The other guy has like the distress, like painful, and they're just so heavy, and I'm like, what
the way fuck? That the guy with the longer hair does his vocals, like that fast pace, like shit. I fucking love that. It's so unique, and it's. I don't know. I love that style of shit.
Oh, it's crazy. Well, they have another band too called Orphan.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that enough. I heard about it, and it always pops out of my brain. I'm like, what's the fucking name? I can't remember. Who else is really like? I feel like I just recently went on a little search, and I can't remember any of them. And other styles, I don't know. This isn't a new album by any means, but I highly recommend, if you haven't listened to Igor with 3 R's.
Oh yeah.
It's like electronic mixed with death metal. It's kind of similar to like the Doom soundtrack, but like way heavier, which is kind of crazy.
What's the one song they all? That's the one song they have where the video is like those like weird fleshy.
Like, yeah, the 3D like weird mush.
That song's wild.
Yeah. So that's a more of the electronic stuff. But they actually have a song with George Fisher from Cannibal Corpse as well on that album. So, and it's like super heavy. So like I highly recommend their newest album, but all of their stuff is really good.
There's another band called Clowncore. Have you listened to that?
I fucking love Clowncore. They're so cool. There's a band that reminds me of Clowncore that I used to listen to all the time back in the day. Do you remember Lightning Bolt?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Lightning Bolt reminds me a lot of Clowncore.
I can see that. I didn't put that together, but I can see that.
Yeah.
They were kind of like,
it's like a new evolved version of it.
They were like it's been a long time since I listened, but they were kind of like spastic, right?
Yeah.
Like almost grindy, and then they would kind of like break into like a whole different.
Yeah, I think the drummer had a CB radio inside of a mask that he would use as a microphone, and the bassist had another mic, and it was a drummer and a bassist, and the bassist had like guitar strings on the bottom of his bass. It's a crazy fucking band.
Yeah. I forgot about that. That's wild. They had a few songs that were really good. Now I'm gonna go back. I want to find those.
Mountain, I think, is the good album that I really like.
Which one?
Dracula Mountain.
Yeah, that rings a bell. Dracula Mountain. I have to do some digging.
Yeah. Let me check my Spotify real quick, see if I can pull up any bands. Oh, I can't do it because I'm using the phone. This is my wife's phone.
Oh shit! I know. I used to use my iPad, and I don't anymore because of quality. The picture, it's shit, right? So I have a new phone, and I'm like, I used to be able to reference stuff, and then now I'm like, oh, I'm just fucking stuck here. Great.
Yeah.
but it's all good. It's cool. No, there's a band. Oh, they're so good. They're called Columbine.
Are they old?
What's that?
Are they older?
No, that a handful of years. Then they just like it's one dude.
Oh, okay.
And it's so good. I'll have to send you the link because they spell their name like all capitals, but with spaces in between.
Oh, okay.
But it's like the drums are like a drum machine, but they're it's just so good. Like and there's a lot of like dual. Well, it's his vocals, but
multiple styles.
It's two different styles, and one of them kind of reminds me of the Strangled guy, where it's like, but the lyrics are really creepy, like just like, you know, being trapped in a room with a woman and like just being like, you know, you shouldn't be around me or something like just like weird, like you don't know what's gonna happen. It's but the it's so like the music is so good. Like it's I'll send you the link after this, and I think you might like it.
That reminds me of, I don't know if this guy's done anything recently, but have you heard of Meth Witch?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That guy's brilliant.
Yeah. He's Cameron, I think is his name, right? Cameron McBride or something. Yeah. But, yeah, he's sick. I have a few of his CDs. And he also just put out, like, this cool, like, emo post-hardcore stuff, like, Sense of Fail kind of stuff. And, yeah, that dude's talented.
Yeah.
Oh,
extreme, like, on every level, just like unbelievable. Like his vocal ability, the fact that he can hit that whistle register, fucks my brain up. Like on top of how much he can do musically, crazy.
And he also has like a crazy like surfy indie band called Bleach Wave, and it's really good.
Of course,
everything he does is just like primo.
Yeah.
Slaughter mentioned Snuffed on Sight. That's a good band.
That is a good band.
Oh my God, the vocals there are nuts.
Mm-hmm.
That little dude, I don't know how he's those things.
Well, that's how I felt about Code Orange Kids when they were Code Orange Kids. Oh my God, dude! When they first came out, I fucking went nuts for them.
That's a chick, isn't it too?
They have a female guitarist who does vocals sometimes. Yeah. And then they evolved to Code Orange after they got like under the wing of what's his name from Converge. And I don't like it as much, but it's still really fucking heavy. And they grew up, so it's like the luster is missing. But like when they first came out with that fucking EP, and it was so goddamn heavy. I don't know, but like those guys, like it was raw as fuck. Like the people say the Short Bus album is raw. No, go listen to that first Code Orange album. That shit.
Good. I only saw them live once and it was wild. They played with Full of Hell and
oh my God, those two combined. I think I went to one of those shows too. It was fucking nuts. Yeah, the violence ensues for those bands.
Yeah, they were good. I kind of fell off once they had the album Forever. I think that's where I kind of fell off. That was a weird album.
Yeah,
but they had that one song called Forever with the music video, and that was
a good song. Yeah.
Blew me away, and I was like, if it's gonna be like this, poof, you know what I mean? But it was not, and it was
a lot more experimental stuff going on.
It didn't click with me very well, but that Forever song is like super good. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Snuffed on Sight though is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see them live. That guy's a maniac.
I want to see so many bands live. I'm just not going.
I know. I feel like shows are weird now too, where it's like they're not anywhere near as stacked as they used to be, and like you know they're not as like every weekend I only live like 10 minutes from the border to Michigan.
Yeah.
So like every weekend, multiple, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I take the shuttle bus over there and to the venue up the road, and you know one week I'd be seeing Whitechapel, and the next week in Acacia Strain, then Tony Danza, Despised Icon are playing. Like it's like fucking, you know.
It used to be like that here in like I live in a town called Fredericksburg, and it's technically a commuter town between DC and Richmond, Virginia. So they found this venue in our town that was like it used to be a bowling alley, so it was massive. And they had installed a stage, and there was a bar and then a side annex room. And there were booking agents about an hour north of us who were looking for a venue to do shows. And I swear to God, some of the best shows I've ever seen in my life were booked at this venue in my hometown. Like, I'm not even joking. There's video footage online of just our shows. Like, I think there's footage of Dillinger Escape Plan because at one point the venue was going to redo their heating system, and they knew that Dillinger was going to be kind of reckless on stage, and so they told Dillinger that they could ruin the venue because the next day they were going to start renovating, but no one fucking knew that. And so they come out and they start like destroying the place. They throw like a fucking mic stand into the vent, and it's just black shit starts spraying everywhere. Like,
holy shit,
they're swinging their guitars at everything. Like, it's fucked, and no one knew what was going on. Some of the people got pissed off at the fact that they were ruining our venue, and they went out and started fighting them, and like were trying to steal their guitars and shit. It was a nightmare. But like, that was, I think, Show of the Summer was one of the biggest ones. It had like, I saw Suicide Silence, Ed Gein, From a Second Story Window, Black My Heart, On Broken Wings, like all these bands, all one show. And like, then they would have hardcore versus metal festival, and it would be like Kids Like Us and the Acacia Strain playing at the same time in two separate rooms, and it would be just absolute chaos. But it was like 20 bands each room for one day, and 20, like,
I know.
And it was every weekend like that, and I was spoiled as shit when it came to like a lot of the bands.
It's crazy. I feel like now the scene's so like a show will come through and all the bands kind of sound the same. It's like Within Destruction, Lorna Shore, you know what I mean? It's like, I miss those days where it's like Acacia Strain could play a deathcore show, but then the next tour they're playing with like, you know, Cruel Hand and No Bragging Right, and you know, shit like that, because they have that kind of hardcore element to them where they fit both. And I miss those days where like they're way more diverse. I feel like, you know, go to a show and it's like the deathcore kids are there, hardcore kids are there, and we're all having a good time, you know, watching. Like, I remember going to, I think it was the Atticus Metal Tour or something, but it had like Terror, but then it was like Winds of Plague and Born of Osiris. Like, it was just like a sick, you know what I mean? So
I remember both of those bands, Winds of Plague and Born of Osiris, played. They opened for a death fest with this, like, with Cryptopsy, and it might have even been Cannibal Corpse. Like, it was a massive metal show, but they opened, and it was like no one gave a shit, you know? It was like everyone that came was there for the music, and that's how it used to be. Now, like you said, now you go to a show, it's like you're spending twice the money to go see it, and everybody sounds the fucking same.
Yeah. There's just no, I mean, that's just the scene now. I feel like deathcore now is very the same. It's like, who's the heaviest vocalist, who's got, and it gets like,
they're all doing the same vocal style too. It's not like they're trying new things. Like, when I was doing vocals and I was learning how to do them, like, I didn't have tutorials online. Like, I didn't have the Vocal Academy of metal vocals. Like, there was nothing teaching me how to do it. I had two people tell me how to do vocals, and one of them I couldn't do. It was Angel from Condemned. He told me how to do his vocals. I can't do it. I fucking can't. He was telling me something about like doing like the Grover, like the high pitch, then like bring it down. I can't fucking do that because it hurts my throat. And if you hurt your throat, you're fucked.
Right.
So I used to try his style. I forget who the other person was that told me how to do it, but I totally learned how to do that one, where it was more of like a false chord, like through your throat sigh, and then just forcing your actual voice through the sigh, and then moving your mouth and tongue around. And from that point on, I was just changing where my tongue went in my mouth to make different sounds.
Right.
And like, that's how I learned how to do anything. And like, nowadays, everybody just sounds like Lorna Shore. Like, everybody's just trying that tunnel throat shit. It's like, bro, Cattle Decapitation was doing that 10 years ago. Like, what? Nothing is new. Like, that is not exciting to me.
Like there was back then there was more variety because there was, you know, bands like you guys, and then there's bands like Waking the Cadaver, which their first few releases are insanely vocal wise. Like their demos are nuts, but
yeah,
the first actual full length, the what is it, Recollections of a Necromangler or something, like where those weird like those weird like clicky like weird noises, like
yeah.
never heard that in my life. When I
don't
heard
know
that, I was like,
if it's inhale or exhale. I can't tell. Like, that's how crazy it is.
it's insane. And then you had those like crazy grind bands that were just like shrieking into a microphone, playing blast for 35 seconds. Like there was a lot of
grind.
Now I feel like it's just like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? A lot of bands just don't tickle my fancy. Like it takes, you know, every couple months maybe a band will turn my head, but it's very it's
rare.
It's harder now. Like back then there was more variety.
Yeah.
And I think back then there was so like everyone and their mother had a deathcore band. It was big, right? So kids were like, hey, I'm from Maine, and there's like 40 bands from Maine. They're playing deathcore, but it's like you still got variety,
right?
But now it's like less bands, but they all fucking either sound the same or just trying to one up their next release or the next band, and it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's strange. Like even Lorna Shore, like I'm not really like the
as
first
vocal dynamically he is. I don't care. Like that's not a defining factor. Like, so you can sound like a pig. I'm proud of you, but honestly, hearing it like repeatedly, the song just going chug, chug, like that's boring. Like you're not doing anything to me, and because you're going over top of chug, like do something that hasn't been done a million times for 20 years. Like,
right.
The whole reason we loved slam so much is because instead of going chug a chug, 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 it was dun 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 dun, and it was like you changed the sounds. Like you went up and down the neck. It wasn't just like oh, I'm on stage doing the same diggy. Like it's not cool to have a breakdown anymore. And like for me, I love a change of pace. I love when a band is like going fast or like melodic, and then all of a sudden it's like a crazy switch up. But if that crazy switch up is an open chord, bro, I'm probably not going to listen. I'm really not, because it's all been done before. Like, you can't tell me your breakdown is different than some other bands. I don't think, like, I have a hard time making slams that are different than other bands now, because there's only so many chugs you can do, you know? Like, you got to think of new patterns and stuff like that. And honestly, the whole evolution of what Short Bus was doing was like, we went from going dun 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 to dun 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 dun. So you have to change things to sound different, and no one's changing anything. They're all just, it's like, okay, well, we're kind of like a mix of Suicide Silence and Animals as Leaders, and it's like, yeah, so it's that guy, that guy, that guy, and that guy. I don't care. It's not exciting to me. It's really not. I'll go listen to Suicide Silence and Animals as Leaders because they did it better. Like, you're not bringing anything new to the table. But it is still selling because this generation under us hasn't heard these other bands that are totally influencing these bands. Like, funny story, one of the owners of the promotion companies that used to put the shows on locally was the vocalist of a band called Reflux. Reflux was Tosin's band, from Animals as Leaders, the guitarist. He was in Reflux when he was like 19 years old. I got to watch that guy shred 5 feet from my face at 19 years old, just as good as he does now. And like, it blows my mind that like that evolved into what it is now. And it's like, I literally hung out with that guy. Like, I don't know. And there could be, for me, it's like I was saying earlier, it's weird to think of myself as famous in any way, but like to me, hanging out with someone like him, or even like I hung out with like the dudes in Malignancy all the time. There it is. I have it too. I also had the hoodie,
Oh yeah,
and my fucking girlfriend shrunk it and then kept it.
that was pre-planned, I think too.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's a great example, and good band too. Fuck, it's been a while since I listened to them too, but yeah. No, I know what you mean though. People, yeah, I don't know. I feel like they don't. Like the new kids now under us they didn't really do their homework. Where it's like, this is where it started. You know what I mean? Like the only reason Lorna Shore exists is because X band did this in 2004. You know what I mean? 2007, right? So it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
If I could literally play The Harvest Floor by Cattle Decapitation for every Lorna Shore fan and show them that this was done in 2007, like they wouldn't know what to do. They'd lose their mind. They'd be like, "Oh my God, it sounds like what's his face?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's not. It's Travis, and he's been doing this for a long fucking time."
This guy copied Will. I'm not giving that guy any, like, he has sick vocals.
Mm-hmm.
First heard him with the
It's
one
just,
thing, I thought this is heavy, but
yeah.
every song I go, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, symphonic and big, and then it's like that big blasty breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, okay, well, it's kind of ran its course.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I know what you mean. It gets a little stale. Yeah. The same formula over and over again, which, I feel like a lot of bands kind of fall into that trap, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, and I just go.
And if they hear how popular that gets so quickly, and, there's a million TikToks, there's a million YouTube videos,
right.
These vocals, and so everybody's like, well, that's how I'm gonna get famous,
right.
And so they mimic it exactly, and like we were mimicking to a degree, but only to like the degree of we're gonna take a part that sounds like that and rewrite it in our style and throw it into a song. They're not gonna write the same fucking song. Like it's
cover band.
Yeah, I mean, and I have even felt guilty of, like, later on down the road, I'm hearing my guitar riffs that I came up with for the album or for a random song, and then listening to another band and hearing those same riffs in the band and realizing I subconsciously heard that so many times because I listened to it that I fucking wrote it and then I put it in my song. And while it's not exactly the same, it is the same chord progression. And I felt guilty for that sort of shit. Like, I don't want to rip anyone off. Right. Like, I remember one time I listened to the beginning of Swift Anal Fist, and it was like boom boom dee boom boom dee boom boom dee boom 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 boom. And I'm dead serious. I was listening to Condemned, and I've listened to Condemned's Fixation on Suffering probably a million times. Like, it's one of my favorite albums. I have the hoodie, the shirt, the jacket, whatever, everything. I'm dead serious. I was listening to like one of the tracks and I was like, holy fuck, it's the exact same intro to the song. I didn't even try to change it. It was the exact same thing, but I heard it so many times that it's just like subconsciously came out of my guitar writing.
Right.
And, like, we released it and I was just like, fuck, I'm gonna sound like an asshole.
Way to butcher our riff.
Right. Stupid.
That's yeah. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of bands. I mean, there's so much music out there. Everything is copied at this point. Yeah. Like, there's, you know what I mean? Like, whether it's
hard to be original. It really is.
Oh, 100%. Unless you have like someone who's just extremely talented at what they do. You know what I mean? Fine. But like, yeah, I think for the most part, I think everything's just copied and slightly altered.
Yeah.
At this point, but yeah, I think it goes for a lot of genres. You're not just like metal, but like anywhere. Like, one
thing that I very early on adapted was the idea that your style of writing cannot be recreated. It really can't if it's truly your own.
Right.
And because the reason behind that is because if you listen to a specific band or specific style and you only try to do that, you are going to be the next that. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, if that's all you like, is just this style of music or this band or this song, whatever. You try to recreate what's going on in that song for your own music, then you are going to essentially just sound like that. Whereas if you listen to all styles of music and you start listening to different bands and you start to learn how to play those styles of music, all of those bands are just what you like. No one else has the exact same collection of music you do. So you putting all of that into your own style makes it unique. And if you aren't specifically trying to sound like one thing, you evolve all of the things that you've liked through all of your music and you apply it to your own style, then you will end up sounding unique no matter what. Whereas, you know, most people, they don't create their own style. So I've always looked at, when I'm writing music, I'm like, well, I'm not going to try to sound like a specific song or a specific band. It's always like, what are all the things that I like? Let's put it into a track, right. You know?
Yeah.
I actually just got the, my phone's going to die in 10 minutes.
Yeah, my
notification.
Yeah,
so we can sit here and talk for like 40 more days.
It's been almost 3 hours.
I know. I figured it was going on a large.
And today, in my mind, I was like, I'll make this one a little shorter because do 2.5.
Not with me.
Now this is the longest one I've ever done. Fuck. But I mean, it's not like I hate it, but I just go, how we're gonna watch 3 hours of us rambling? I go,
I can talk forever, dude.
Oh, me too. That's why it lasts so long.
Yeah.
Like most interviews I see are like 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour. I mean, I'm clocking in at like Titanic, you know, fucking 3.5 hours. Got to put on 2 VHS tapes. Yeah.
We've been doing it so long. Sarah came back. That's all.
This is the next.
And David just got here. Can we start over?
Well, I'm gonna post this on like my Instagram, so for people who weren't here, or came in.
You're not allowed to enter any commentary, David. You're done. We're done.
Hey, so you know both of these, Sydney and that's the Sarah girl that came in earlier, right?
Yeah,
we're just doing the same shit, just fucking talking.
David, now that you're here, did you practice the click track like I asked you to today? Because everybody's asking about new material, and I sent you a click track. Look at our friends just communicating in the chat. I love it.
Are they all look at that? Everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? Which one's David?
David's the drummer.
No. But like, what's his Instagram? Like, what's his thing here?
Sydney.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I refer to him as David Sydney sometimes.
Okay, yeah. Practice it tomorrow.
You better.
Sounds like a quick.
You better. You're running out of time, mister.
People are salivating at the mouth for some more.
Yeah.
Dick.
I'm going to pull the plug on the project. That's what's going to happen.
I'm going to pull the plug. Fuck it. This guy's got more shit lyrics to write about, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's got it. It's been a long time. It's all pent up.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff to write about now.
Oh.
I've got like 10 more years of experiences.
Yeah, for sure. This guy's got a plug now. He's pulled the plug. Well, I guess we'll just end it. It's hitting 3 hours.
Probably a good idea.
Like, man, I'll do this one a little shorter for everybody. Fucking the longest one I've done now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it was good to have you.
It was great being here.
It was fun.
Yes.
I hope everybody had a good time.
Yes. Likewise. I hope that everybody in chat got to ask the questions that they wanted.
Yeah.
Hopefully we answered and didn't miss anything.
We did miss any, and who fucking cares? Shut up. Just
we're done. There's no
pull
more.
the plug on this. But yeah, I'm also excited for the Gacy Balloon Animals too. So
that's some insider knowledge. If you know, you know.
If you're clinging in on here, you got the inside scoop.
Mm-hmm.
Need more fuck lyrics, please.
I'll do my best.
At least one.
Or my worst. I'll do my worst.
Well, yeah, yeah. I don't think you can ever top gagging on a dick, but or foobar. I can't like.
We're, I feel bad about that one, boys. That was not a good one.
Because you request, you're like, we're just gonna just keep the foobar on the track list. We don't want
no parentheses, please.
And then I refreshed my memory and went, yeah, no, that's a great idea. I'm not looking to get canceled anytime soon, so
No.
it's funny that you made it fit and it makes sense, and he still used foobar, but
I don't know if those lyrics are online, but they're terrible.
I'm sure there's somewhere on the deep dark web,
Hopefully.
probably on E5.
Hopefully, that's the only place they are.
You guys should start uploading your. You guys should start doing lyric videos and put them up on eFuck exclusively.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Premieres.
It comes full circle.
Yeah, for sure. Scratch each other's back. You know what I mean? All right, for real though. I guess I'm out of here.
Yeah.
See ya, Tyler. It was fun. Thanks for doing this.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for all the people that stopped on in to chit chat. And
love you all.
Yeah. Sick. Hopefully some new short bus will come out, but don't hold your breath.
All right.
Okay, man. See you later.
Later, man.
Take it easy. Mm.